How many Marios are there between you? There's 3. Mario Mario and Luigi Mario.
Yeah.
And that was a quote from the beautiful movie that we'll be discussing later, Super Mario Brothers, 1993. Yeah, that was a quote by John Leguizamo.
Yes, sober or drunk, we don't know.
Yeah. That's it's up to you whether or not they were inebriated in that scene.
Yeah.
But we'll learn about that when we get to it. There's a lot to dive in with the Mario movie.
There's so much.
Yeah. I don't really have any news, really.
No?
There's not a whole lot going on, so I mean, I just figured we'd maybe just chat.
Sure.
Just for a bit.
Yeah.
What have you been watching lately besides the lovely films that we're going to talk about?
I've been short on putting movies on. Typically it's rewatches. I don't think I've really seen anything new per se.
Okay. So what have you rewatched?
Dude, what do I go? Spider-Man's. I watched 1 through 3.
Okay.
Daredevil.
So you've been going on the early 2000s superhero kick.
Yeah. So usually when I put on a movie, I'll be playing my video game. Mm-hmm. So in the room behind, I got the setup, and so it's in the living room, and then in the next room over through the doorway, I can watch a film. So I try to put on something that I don't have to invest myself into, but I can listen to the dialogue and kind of hear what's going on. And yeah, the early 2000 comic films are very, very low character arc, so there isn't much going on besides a couple subplots. Yeah. And
if you've seen them already, you could put them on the background while you're doing something else.
Very easily. I did find out though that Spider-Man 1 and 2 took the exact same setup in terms of script building. We're gonna get to hear. There's literally a point in each film where Peter Parker is unsure about his love for Mary Jane, mm-hmm. and about his responsibility to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That he goes to seek out Mary Jane and to make amends. And in both films, at the same point, he asks her to go out and get food, in which she declines. And then there's a whole, you can't just show up whenever, Mm-hmm. So, if you watch those films back to back, you'll see that at each event, they're probably those films are probably both 2 hours, and at an hour 35, those events happen. Mm-hmm. And then at hour 40, it's the villain shows back up,
Yeah.
It was very weird because everyone's talked about Spider-Man 2, and I think Spider-Man 2 is a fine film.
Oh, yeah. I really like it.
Yeah, but I was laughing because I was like, wow, I think if you throw these on back to back, you'll see that they're incredibly similar in terms of plot structure.
Uh-huh. They probably just took the first movie and just were like, hey, if it ain't broke,
Yeah.
And then they threw that whole concept out of the window with the third one.
Yeah, that one is I give it a little bit more credit. It's a little bit more bold in terms of you have 4 different characters in that thing.
Oh yeah,
it's
there's 3 different villains going on at the same time.
It's pre-Avengers.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's a little bit daring in that aspect because in these superhero films, you'll have your hero, you have the henchman, and then you got the boss. Mm. So I was like, and kind of having Harry's arc flip a little bit. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and then the more I watched of it, I felt like Sam Raimi didn't want to direct that film.
So I can give you a little inside knowledge about that one specifically. So originally it was just going to be Sandman and James Franco's Green Goblin, mm-hmm. as the primary antagonists of the movie. Yeah. But then the studio was really pushing hard for them to put Venom in the movie, because I guess Sam Raimi had planned for Venom to be in Spider-Man 4 instead of Spider-Man 3. But the studio was like, hey, people love Venom. It's one of the most popular comic book characters. We need to have Venom in this movie in order to get asses in seats. Right. And they also, I think, just wanted to push for the black Spider-Man suit because it looked cool as shit at the time. So
emo was very in vogue at that time.
Yeah. 2007. It was at its peak.
Yeah.
So they really pushed hard for Venom. So that's why it feels like it's kind of haphazardly put in there.
And then we're gonna take Topher Grace and make him Eddie Brock, and we're gonna make, if we do a fourth, Topher will be Eddie Brock.
Maybe not the best casting choice. You take the dweeby little guy from that 70s show and you make him your villain.
Did you also say
superhero movie?
Hayden Thomas Church, our boy HTC, or Thomas Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church, THC.
That he didn't want to be in that film. He is a fucking atrocity in that thing.
It's been a long time. There's a lot in that movie that just hasn't aged well. And yeah, I would have to rewatch it to gauge his performance specifically, but I just remember that whole movie being a fucking mess.
Oh,
and
it is.
I love it for it because it's so fucking funny to me. There's a lot about it that just is so memed to death. There's a difference between a movie that I think is memed because of reverence, like Lord of the Rings, or even like the first couple Spider-Man movies, and then there's a difference between a movie being memed because people are making fun of it. Like,
oh yeah, that one is definitely the being made fun of.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate actually that it didn't come out at the time when memes were high.
I know. It was like at the dawn of like those fucking like Me Gusta memes or whatever, like the troll face, like really early internet memes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
that weren't quite as like refined yet. It was a lot of like lol random humor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, something that you'd find on like one of the interwebs.
Yeah. There were maybe like a couple videos on YouTube that were edited to make fun of the movie, because I remember there were these videos that were called YouTube poops, where people would take already pre-existing properties and just mix them up and make it basically meme videos.
Right.
But back in like the early to mid 2000s. And that was like our version of memes at the time. I'm kind of dating myself by saying that, but you know, getting older, got to acknowledge the history of memes with cinema, I guess.
Yeah.
But
no, he's really bad in it. And that whole film is just really bad. I feel bad for a lot of the people that are in it.
Yeah. I'd be curious on a rewatch how I feel about the whole trilogy.
That might be something that we do. I was just saying, like, we might do 1, 2, and 3, like we did with John Wick.
Yeah, I'd be totally down for that.
Yeah, that'd be something that'll be an idea coming, because they're worth discussing. They're worse than I remember them being.
Yeah.
I'm seeing I had him on and I was like, I think maybe with how much we've been watching movies with over the last year or so and talking about them, like my perspective of watching these things now is like a little heightened, maybe, or there's a little bit more of a critique.
You're paying attention to a little more things that you wouldn't have before.
Yeah, and yeah, they're worse than the nostalgia is like worn off.
Oh no,
yeah,
oh no.
So I'm like watching it in like today's lens, and I'm like, God, maybe was I nicer for the So, but I was thinking, I think it'd be fun though to go 1, 2, and 3 at some point and talk.
I think so,
because they're worth discussing, and I think there's enough juice there.
I think so, absolutely. I remember as a kid, the first Spider-Man movie scared me a lot because of Green Goblin, and then the scene with the skeletons where he blows those people up.
Oh yeah,
that freaked me out as a kid. I don't think I was any older than like 7 years old at the time. So I was like, oh no, because I wanted to see Spider-Man, but then it was scary, and Willem Dafoe's laugh in it really creeped me out.
He's actually, it's really funny because like in the first one he knocks it out of the ballpark. Like he's such a professional, and
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Yeah, dude, he does some creepy shit. When Aunt May slaps his hand and he licks his fingers. Oh,
I don't remember that. Scene.
Dude, it is. There's some things that I'm just curious. I was like, I wonder if if the agent had to sell this for him to take it, because like Willem Dafoe, who's doing At Eternity's Gate, right? And and he's doing live action or live like Broadway performances like in Spider-Man. But he does a fantastic job. He's actually probably in all 3 of them. He's the best character in all 3 of them.
Yeah, and he's only in like the 3rd one for a minute.
That one, yeah, and the 3rd one's even more bizarre too, because the butler that was nowhere to be seen in any of the films just comes out of nowhere to tell Harry what happened.
That's so yeah.
We're just gonna introduce this random guy that has no rapport with anyone and drop the biggest line in this whole film.
Yeah, he was killed by his gilder, Have you seen like the bloopers of him trying to say glider?
No.
It's
Something
kind
to
of funny.
behold?
Yeah, he has such a struggle saying the word glider. He was killed by his own gilder. He's like, he's really old, and it just kind of seems like he doesn't know where he's at. So it's a little funny and kind of sad at the same time.
Sure.
But
sure.
yeah, I'd be down to talk about those movies eventually for like a whole episode.
Yeah, that'd be I think that's somewhere where we're gonna have to keep that idea in mind.
Yeah, keep it in the storage. As far as what I've been watching,
Yeah, I was about to ask.
yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I really haven't watched a new movie in a minute. I've been watching the show on Netflix with Steven Yeun and Ali Wong.
I heard that's really good.
Beef.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining so far. I think the best part of it is the acting.
Yeah.
Like Steven Yeun and Ali Wong just fucking kill it. Like
She's a comedian too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's been in a few comedic movies. I can't remember the title of them right now, but I just remember seeing her in some like romantic comedy movie, and I was like, oh, okay, I recognize her. But yeah, they're both really good, and the use of the music's really good in those shows too. Like, there's just been some tracks that have been stuck in my head
Slapped.
because of how they're used in the episodes. Yeah, like I'm not a perfect person, like that song.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking great. It's in the first episode, like towards the end, and it does a really good job of balancing both comedy and drama. I think it's mostly a comedy. I would say it's like 70% a comedy, but
Sure.
there's a good 30% in there where it's like, oh shit, there's like actual human emotion and like deep character moments going on in this that I really dig. So I'm on episode 6. I have 4 episodes to go. There are 10 episodes for this first season, and I think they're each like around a half hour. So,
Oh really?
yeah, it's
Oh.
a pretty easy thing to digest. So I'm really excited to finish it. So
Nice. I think I'm gonna have to hop into that. I saw the trailer for it and it looked pretty interesting, and then I saw it's getting some pretty good reviews.
I would
So-
see ads for it on Facebook all the time, and it's got like a 4.4 on Letterboxd, which is a really high rating.
Yeah, that's a lot of people that are probably don't do the highest of ratings for things.
Yeah, so I'm curious where it's going, and I'm excited to finish it. So
Nice.
yeah, looking forward to that. But other than that, no, I haven't really been watching a whole lot of other things. Yeah, no, other than the movies we're about to talk about.
Yeah, I was about to say I've been playing a video game that it's very, very near and dear to me. It's simple sports game, but that's pretty much taken over like my nights. So
Is it NBA 2K?
no, MLB, it's a baseball game.
Oh, nice.
I've sworn by it, and I tell anyone that likes baseball and likes to play video games to buy it. Like, you have to. So yeah, most of my free time, like, me and Jasmine are hanging out, and I got like an hour or so where we're just kind of getting, after dinner, before bed. It's like, I'll throw that on. So I haven't thrown any movies on. Plus, like, sometimes, like I said, you watch these films and you just go down these rabbit holes, and it's like you can't stop looking up information and asking questions. So there's more time invested than just at the surface level.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it that you guys listening might not understand. Parents just don't understand, man.
Yeah.
They just don't get us.
You just fucking throw on a film and go, that was really entertaining, and throw that shit off.
It's like, boop-a-doop-a-doo. Oh, I'm going to watch a movie and have fun. Like, who
Yep.
does that?
No.
Who goes and watches a movie for fun?
No, fucking idiots.
Yeah, speaking of which,
Uh-oh. Idiots are watching movies for fun.
both, because we're going to talk about the Super Mario Brothers animated movie
Yes.
from Illumination. And since I recommended the live-action one, if you wanted to tackle this, this little boy.
I'm actually upset. This is probably the first time that I've wanted to do the other one.
I know.
It's normally like, I'll take the new one. I got that. And then this is the first time I was like, God damn it, I really wish I could read off. But no, I'll save that for you. You did recommend it, and you've opened up my world.
Your third eye.
Yeah. I hit that on the other day too. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, I was wondering where you're going with that.
Yeah. I totally forgot about it. I just had it on, like, that was at work, and I had it on, and the ending when he's just walking. I completely forgot about it, and all of a sudden he's just like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, he starts having like a schizo episode.
Yeah, and then that thing just pops up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like that does happen, but at the same token, like unless you're following Doctor Strange, like no one.
Yeah.
The book of Dr. Amun-Ra. Anyways, the Super Mario Brothers movie 2023, directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelinek.
The only reason I know that is because I've heard their names pronounced.
I was about to say you were on top. You were ready to get that correction.
Mm-hmm.
This is starring Chris Pratt as. Oh, I wanted to say the titular Mario, but it's Mario Bros, so it's just Mario. Anna Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, and then, some other people that are in here, some names that you'd recognize, some names that you wouldn't. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. And so this is the story of the Super Mario Bros. And their journey through the Mushroom Kingdom.
Wahoo!
Yeah, movie starts out with Mario and Luigi. Are they at the commercial? Is that the very?
It starts with Bowser invading the Ice
That's
Kingdom.
right. They do their little taking on the penguins. A little bit of a funny moment in that, and then then it cuts to Mario's the Super Mario Bros. With their commercial and in the pizza shop and doing the plumbing and stuff. And then it just kind of, it's such a quick movie. I mean, it goes from there to they're at someone's apartment fixing things to back at home. And you see that people have doubt in them and that Mario's ruining Luigi to they're going to fix the city. And then Luigi finds a pipe. Him and Mario go down. They get separated. And Mario ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom. And we go on a little adventure from there.
Yes.
So
let's go.
Yeah, I went and saw this. So here's a funny thing. So we talk about I didn't think there was gonna be anyone at the movie theater. It was like Saturday at 2.
Let me guess. It was a little more than half full.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I was shocked. I walked in there. I had some popcorn and Diet Mountain Dew. Shout out. And yeah.
Sponsorship, maybe.
Yeah, right. Well, there was one row. Oh, yeah, Mr. Mountain Dew, if you're listening.
Mr. Dew.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't. God, I hate when I do that.
So informal.
If you're not into the whole brevity thing,
we're not going to get a sponsorship that way, McClain.
Yeah. I'm the dude. I'm the dude.
You're the dude.
Or Mr. Dew if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Yeah. He's like one of those casual CEOs. Please call me Dew.
Yeah.
No, Mister. That's my father.
Yeah, exactly. So I sat down in the chairs there, it was lean back already. There's been some heavier people sitting in those seats, and I'm not a light dude, but these things were bent back. So I was sitting in front of some people, and I moved over one spot to the left, and I couldn't tell who was behind me, and then there ended up the theater was there was just a bunch of little kids, with their parents.
Yeah,
it was kind of
naturally. Yeah.
I felt a little odd being in there by myself watching this thing with just a pop and popcorn.
just a grown ass man going to see the Mario movie.
Yeah, no I wonder if anyone finds this real. I was like, no, if I was 40, 45, I think people would be a little bit more what?
Maybe. I feel like nobody really gives a shit if you're at a movie by yourself. Even if it's
it's not by myself. It's if I went and saw a Pixar movie and there was a 46-year-old guy there by himself with all these little kids around, I would be looking around kind of why?
Yeah.
That's what it's not necessarily I could go see Black Swan by myself. That wouldn't be that big of a deal. It's more of the setting that you're in.
Gotcha.
So that's why I felt a little weirded out because everyone there had a kid with them.
Oh, I could have gone with you. I could have been your kid.
Oh, yeah.
This is my full-grown ass mustachioed kid.
Yeah, this is Kyle. He's 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
I give him a piece of paper from Benchwarmers that says I am 8.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of Mad TV. Anyway, so but the whole time the kids were talking and stuff, which I didn't mind. It was funny because I thought this is a time where someone might get annoyed. You know, I don't know if you've ever been in that situation. So it's different, like when you're with grown people versus kids. But sometimes when you go see a movie and there are kids in the theater, it can get like, all right.
It depends on the movie. You have to have like the right expectations, I think. Because if you're going to the Mario movie and there's a lot of kids and they're being a little loud, it's like, okay, I expect that because it's a movie targeted for kids.
Right.
But if I go to see John Wick Chapter 4 and someone brings their 1-year-old and they start crying, it's like, the fuck you doing?
Yes,
man. Like, get out.
It's funny because we did see. I went and saw something. Anyways, I'm not gonna go down that path.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah. So. Yeah, moved over. Kids were talking. They were loving it. It was kind of fun. It was fun to have the connections being made around the theater when you'd hear someone say something to their, hey, that's so and so. Like it's just kind of fun. Kind of like, I played video games, but nothing was ever put into a movie, right? So it's kind of fun when you think about it to be like, you're playing your games, and all of a sudden you get to go see it on the theater, and you get to make these. Oh, that's so and so. I like point. So it was a fun aspect. So, yeah. Anyway, and this thing moves quickly. So let's get into thoughts.
Yes. Yeah. I really want to. I want to kind of talk about first the sort of online discourse that this movie has, because I don't know if you've read anything about it, but there's a lot of, I think, just straight up toxic debates about this movie, because it's one of those films that the audience loves. Like, the audience really loves this movie. Like, They gave it a 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
And then the critics are a little bit more mixed on it. They're a little less receptive to it. I think it has like a 56% or something.
I'm not sure. It's funny that because we will talk about it.
Yes, we will. But I want to talk about this because there's like a ton of people online, and this seems to happen with movies every now and again, where the general audience just goes like, "Don't listen to the critics, guys. This movie's great. Critics are stupid. They don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah." And it's like, okay, that's all well and good, but nobody's really telling you to not enjoy the movie.
Right.
It's just so weird to me that they're that vocal about it. And because they say things like, "I don't care what critics think, I liked the movie," the fact that you have to say that makes me think that you care a little bit about what critics think about the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I mean, I don't know. I think this is kind of like the other one we'll talk about. It's a movie designed for entertainment, not necessarily to be a masterpiece. So I think this thing is incredibly entertaining, but I also, during it, you can find faults in the film.
Yeah.
And you could definitely go like, this thing isn't critic proof, but this is definitely very enjoyable.
Like, if you like the movie, that's cool. Like, good on you. But if professional movie critics aren't as warm to it, you don't need to go on the internet and shout, "Oh, the critics are stupid."
Yeah.
There always seems to be a movie that comes out every once in a while that people are like that for. Like, people were like that for, I think, Suicide Squad, the first movie.
Really?
Well, initially, at least. There's a clip of I think it's Angry Video Game Joe or whatever on YouTube going, "Critics don't know what they're talking about. That was a good fucking movie." And then,
really?
Yeah. Give it like 6 months later, and everyone fucking hates it. If we're gonna do an example
like that, let's pick a good one. Like that.
That's the only thing that would come to my mind.
There are movies that I'm trying to, because I rarely go to Rotten Tomatoes, because I feel like there are times where I want to know kind of where the audience or the critics sit at, because they're like polarizing films. This I could see. This one actually shocks me that it is polarizing.
I'm not too shocked by it. I'm not too shocked.
Yeah, but you'd think kind of like when you watch the film, you're like, it's a video game movie, so like it's not going to get knocked out of the park with people. Those things are so hard to appease critics.
Yeah, they do have a history of not meeting a great bar in terms of like being well received. Like, dude, I think the most recent one is what, like The Last of Us being like the best received video game adaptation,
right?
Of like
and
a movie or show.
That's a 10-ep series.
And already the story in the game was like something that was super. It was like the point of the game, basically.
Well, when you look at kind of like those, when you look at plots or plot structure, I mean, video games that follow that, where there's actually cut scenes and there's more going on in terms of survival, like, Yeah, they're already kind of geared more so to being like 'cause you're playing a movie essentially. You know.
Yeah.
This is not. This seems like straight out of Mario, like Mario 64.
Yeah.
Like I mean, there's really no arc. You're just a guy trying to save someone.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. Let's
Okay.
talk about the movie. I just wanted to point out the discourse because I thought it was just kind of silly online.
100%. But I mean, people have to argue about something, but it still seems like just enjoy it. Like enjoy it. Don't let people take away that enjoyment.
Yeah,
like
just
I
like what you
that
like.
film, but it's coming down because someone else said it was bad,
Yeah.
and now I am not liking this.
Now I have to
film.
go on this crusade.
Yeah, and to explain why I like it and why you're wrong, and I will enjoy it even more.
Oh my god, yeah, the absolute meltdowns people have over it. It's insane to me. But yeah, no, going into the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I thought it was fine. There's some things that I just don't like about it though.
Really?
As someone who loves Mario and has been a Mario fan since I was little baby, little toddler boy, there are some things about this movie that I think they just absolutely nail. Like, I think the biggest thing they get right with this movie is the tone. And it's funny because I recorded a review of this movie specifically, but I haven't put it out yet because I was like, do I want to put it out or should we just talk about it on the podcast? But I figured I have thoughts that I want to make sure I get down if I don't mention it on the podcast, just in case, you know?
Content and low, throw it out, dude.
Yes. That too is a factor. But I think this movie does a really good job of capturing the world and the feel and the colors of Mario. Like it does
1,000%.
an amazing job of it. And I think it does it really well in that you don't feel like it's one specific game. You don't feel like it's, oh, this movie is just Mario 64 or, oh, this movie is just Super Mario World or whatever. It feels like a good embodiment of what the whole franchise is. And I really like that about it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had some shots where they do the one that I really liked is at the beginning with Mario and Luigi, and they're doing the video scroll as he's climbing through and Luigi's trying to keep up. You know, they did a lot of homage. They paid a lot of dues to the previous games. I don't think it just was tailored to Mario 64. I don't even know. I mean, there's so many new ones that have come out since then, but
yeah, they make a lot of different references. It feels like Illumination has at least done their homework in terms of, you know, the different things that they include as Easter eggs and as references. Like the commercial that they have in the beginning.
yeah.
It's very reminiscent of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, the like animated show for kids that came out in like the late 90s. And the voice actress for that lady in the commercial is the same voice actress that voiced Princess Peach in that cartoon.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, I don't know. They're just very like detailed about the things that they reference and include as Easter eggs. And I enjoy the fact that it seems like they put effort into that area of it, you know?
Oh, dude, this definitely felt like a paid tribute to Mario. Like, we're going to make a movie, but we're also going to throw in a lot of the different eras of Mario or different whatever's happened to these games or who's ever been associated with the product. Like, we're making this Mario, you know?
Yeah. And another thing I liked, too, is I thought most of the voice performances were good, and I think Jack Black really stands out. He's really funny in this movie.
Yeah,
and I really liked him as Bowser.
I didn't even really. I was trying to I couldn't. Maybe only when he was singing that I realized oh, that's Jack Black. Most of the time, I thought I had to look it up afterwards because I was like, I'm pretty sure Jack Black was Bowser, but I wasn't. You know, I mean, I at the first 6-7 lines of dialogue he has, I had no idea. I was very confused. Then we started singing. I was like, oh, that's him. But then even when he started going through it again, I was like, boy, that doesn't really sound like him.
No, it feels like he's playing Bowser. And I really like that it seems like he put forth effort and just sheer talent into voicing that character. Like, I really like his performance. I like Charlie Day as Luigi. I'm kind of biased for Charlie Day, though. I've liked him since I've seen him in Always Sunny. Yeah. Thought Anya Taylor-Joy was good. She wasn't necessarily like super standout, but she was good at playing a female character, you know? And I didn't think Keegan-Michael Key as Toad was as annoying as I was expecting it to be, because Toad in the games is just a generally annoying character to me.
Yes, like I could see that.
Yeah, just the entire time. Whereas it feels like they kind of reeled him back for this movie.
I thought he was funny as hell,
and I liked that they did that.
Yeah.
And even like, Chris Pratt, sometimes he'd say something and I would just hear Chris Pratt, like, okay, that's just Chris Pratt.
Yep.
But other times I thought he was fine. Like, I'm not like super critical of like his performance or anything. Like, I didn't think he did a bad job,
Right.
Yeah. There's one specific voice actor that I did not care for in this movie, and we'll get to it, but
you gotta have your reason. I thought everyone was fine.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And then, I also liked the original score whenever they used music that was composed for this movie specifically. I think it was Koji Kondo involved with it, who has been with Nintendo since the first Super Mario Brothers game. And he's made the music for most of the Nintendo games after that ever since. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very unique, the style that they did and how they would put it in different elements or different compositions, if you will. I mean, I thought it was unique, but it was well done, and it was very appropriate.
The different like main theme composition, do 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 do, like kind of almost orchestral feel at points. Yeah, no, I liked that. And then of course the animation. I think that this is Illumination's best looking movie. I don't know. I don't know if I could tell you what else they've come out with. They did Minions, Life of Pets, Sing. The new, I shouldn't say new because it's been a few years now, but the animated Grinch movie that came out in like 2017, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I think that this movie specifically, it feels like they put forth a lot of effort into the animation and to make it more vibrant and poppy, and I like that they did that.
I think they there's a feel with Mario and the colors and like you said, the vibrancy with it. I mean, I don't think it's very hard to just mimic it. I don't think that a lot of people like to do that, though. I don't know if it's got something to do with consumerism, like just the how it looks and putting it on a screen, or if directors don't like it because it's not dark and edgy like another movie. So it's funny because it's like, I go in there and I'm watching it and I'm just, to me it was Mario 64. I mean, that's just what I felt like they mimicked, because I played that. That was the big one that I played when I was growing up, and I felt like that was like the first time where they got like a 3D Mario in there. So like it's very bubbly and vibrant and bright. And I've always thought, like, just making a Mario, like, how hard would that be? And then watching this one, I was like, that's it. They fucking got it. Like, I don't think it's, like, that challenging.
Yeah. But I guess my biggest concern, and this was pretty much only before I got to see what the characters looked like, was what they were going to do with the character designs. Because they could have easily gone the route of the first Sonic design for the Sonic movie, where everybody hated it and it was ugly as shit and it just didn't look good and somehow passed so many people's eyes to get to the initial trailer. And it could have easily gone the route of like, oh, like the animation's I guess good, but these characters look ugly as shit. Like,
right.
But thankfully they kept it pretty true to what they look like in the games, while kind of giving them a little bit of a unique,
I think the only one to
redesign a bit.
Like Peach was the only one that I just was like that. She looked a little unlike Peach.
Just a little more, her face was like shaped different a little bit.
It was like, it didn't, when she showed up, I was like, I guess that's her. It wasn't like you see Mario like and Luigi, it's like, oh, that's Mario and that's Luigi. When she popped up, I was thinking, all right, that's, Well, I mean, it's not like it was a distraction or anything. Like it's a 9 out of 10.
So I want to dive into the criticisms and the negative stuff that I have with this movie. The biggest thing for me is that, so typically, and we were talking about this earlier with story in video games, Mario as a franchise and as a game series has never been that deep with story, except for like the RPG games. And it's always been point A to point B, Peach gets kidnapped by Bowser. Mario has to go rescue her from Bowser. Mario rescues her. The end.
Is there a Mario RPG game out there?
There's a few.
Mario RPG.
Yeah. There's Mario and the Seven Stars for the SNES. There are a few Mario and Luigi RPG games.
Like open world?
Kind of like Pokemon a little bit.
Interesting.
It's like an overworld, and you walk around and you encounter enemies, and then you get into a battle with them. And then...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I just the Mario universe I'm not really well versed on. So.
Oh, I got you covered.
Yeah,
I got us both covered.
I'm leaning on you on this episode with these with some of the history of the video game. So,
I got you. I'm wearing my Mario socks right now.
Oh yeah.
One of many pairs that I own. But all that to say that the story in the games has never been what you play the games for. Right.
Right.
Like it's, for good gameplay and the vibrancy of the world of Mario.
Right.
If you're going to make a movie and you're going to stick to that same line of thinking of, it's going to be a point A to point B rescue adventure, I'm perfectly okay with that. But I feel like you have to have something in place in order to make it a little bit different from what I would normally just experience from the games. And I feel like they kind of sacrifice some real characterization and some real character moments for a large barrage of jokes and references and Easter eggs. And I don't know. I really wanted there to be something there to make it stand out on its own. Because to me, if I'm going to go see a movie that's based on a video game that I play, and I get the same exact experience that I get watching the movie as I do the game, that's fine, but why wouldn't I just play the game? Like, why wouldn't I just stay home and play Super Mario Odyssey if I'm going to, get the same experience? Like, I wanted there to be some kind of, deep, maybe not deep, but, some meaningful character moments and some real kind of, weight to the characters in place of a plot that would be a little more complicated than just point A to point B. Because, like I said, I'm okay with that kind of plot. It's the same kind of plot that's in the new Puss in Boots movie. But the difference is the new Puss in Boots movie has well-written characters. They have actual character moments that make you feel something. And it just draws you in with how they're written. And I don't think that this movie really has that. I don't know if you felt anything like that.
I agree 100%. But I also am going off the token of they're making a video game movie, so I'm completely fine with what they're doing. My expectations for any sort of character development or deep characterization, as you're stating, I don't really care about it. I'm not gonna go see Mario and I want to know more about Mario, So I think that's the difference, because I thought this movie moves really quickly. I thought in terms of tone and pace, it's phenomenal. I like
the pacing of it.
The script is not great at all.
No, and I think that's really what I wanted out of it. And I'm not asking for anything super deep,
you're gonna get
Charlie Kaufman or anything.
You're getting that one,
the 1993 version,
right? I don't. I think the deepest they try to get is Bowser's love for the princess, and they're just trying to give a reason for why he kidnapped her.
Yeah, they made Bowser an incel in this movie. We forgot to mention.
Yeah, what is he? What do they call him? A simp?
Yeah, he's super simping for Peach in this film.
Yeah,
he wants to marry her, and when she rejects him, he gets all pissed off and is like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was funny. It's a little bit of irony in there.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me.
Yeah. But I mean, and then you get the relationship between the dad and I think
that is that's the most you get. I agree.
Here's the thing too. There's two things going on. One, I didn't give a shit about that. So you might have wanted a little bit more in regards to, that going on or something a little bit deeper. Whereas I didn't care about that. I found that actually a little bit more annoying that they would try to thrust something in like that, knowing that we're not really going to... There's no exploration of it, And that's that deep characterization you're talking about. I thought that was put in there as sort of a plot device, to give a little bit of an arc. I mean, if we're talking an arc, this thing is... this thing goes up, peaks at 2 inches as opposed to, something else that would peak at fucking 2 feet. Right. So I thought that wasn't really well needed. But the other aspect of it too is, and I was thinking about, is the demographic. We're not the target audience. this thing's got to be 90 minutes because the people that are going here, and the reason why they came out with this is because after 3 weeks or 4 weeks of this thing being released, they're still filling up half of the theaters with kids.
I get that. I totally get that, but I feel like you can have a movie that's targeted for kids, and it can still be well written with interesting characters. Like, I'm going to use Puss in Boots again as an example. Like, that movie is targeted specifically for kids. It's an animated, PG-rated adventure movie with colorful animal characters. But I think the jokes in that are funny, and I think that the characters really offer something that this movie just doesn't have a whole lot of. So, I don't know. I think you can have a movie that's targeted towards kids and still have it be enjoyable to see just as a movie.
It was enjoyable to see just as a movie.
For you, yes.
Well, what did you enjoy about this? That's what I'm trying to... You've said everything nice about it.
I want to say that, I liked this movie overall, but I don't know. There's just some things about it that just didn't gel with me. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of the humor that didn't quite land. Right. Just a lot of, like, slapstick. I'm
not disagreeing with that either. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I thought Donkey Kong was kind of just like whatever. Like a lot of the jokes, there were a lot of the kids that were in that theater. I laughed out loud maybe twice, and it was only because of the blue star thing.
Oh, the nihilistic Luma.
Oh my God, that thing was cracking me up. I think the best quote that thing had that I laughed too hard at, that everyone else was in the quiet about the theater, when that thing's floating around and it goes, hope, like time, is an illusion created by man.
Yeah, it's voiced by like this little kid.
Yeah. Hope, like time, is an illusion created by man. As it's just like floating around.
Yeah.
And then what was the penguin goes like, oh dear God, it's already depressing enough in here.
Yeah,
and then they're like, and then Luigi goes like, what's our escape? And then that thing's like, death is our only escape.
Yeah.
And then like everyone's, oh dear God,
the sweet release of death.
Yeah, dude, I was like, if they had a little bit more of that in there, I think that would have been easier for the parents. But also, I'm not gonna lie, like when that thing was going on, I was like, this is kind of uncomfortable knowing that
there's children here.
Yeah, so like that, there's a line that they gotta teeter with when you're kind of looking at this, and I think, Puss in Boots I could see going up to like ages 12 or 13. Like this movie I see topping out at like 10 years old.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I'm not here to disagree. I think that...
No, you're good, dude. Like, I appreciate it.
Like the expectations for me of this film were of like a 10-year-old enjoying this. So like that's why I was really fine with like what was going on. But I didn't laugh as much as everyone else in there did. Which kind of to me says like, all right, I'm the odd man out in this. Like if I was with the crew laughing or I wasn't laughing, like I'd be like, all right, like I don't know what you people see here, but that's like a PG-13 or R-rated film. Like for a G-rated film, if someone goes like, oh, oops, just pooped my pants, and then like everyone in there starts bawling, I'd be like, all right, I'm not the target audience.
I'm glad that they didn't include any fucking fart jokes. I was very happy about that.
They could have. I mean, they were pretty. I thought they were
teetering.
I thought it'd get a little bit more edgy or kind of some adult related humor in there. Like, and I think though, like you said, the only thing that was there was the nihilistic
Luma.
Yeah.
No, there's, and I don't want to give the wrong impression that I didn't like this movie, because I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I liked it overall, but I just have some issues with it that I feel like I need to talk about.
Get them out.
This is my therapy session in a way.
Yeah. Because you had higher expectations for maybe meeting you as an audience member instead of like the pop.
And I think maybe because I'm like a Super Mario fan, like pun intended.
Yeah.
Maybe I just had so many expectations for finally a good version of a movie that we got in 1993. I mean, I was starved for something that I wanted to blow me away, but I liked it overall. But there's just some things that, Another thing was the licensed music. I did not care for the use of the moments where they would play AC/DC or Beastie Boys.
Oh, really?
Or fucking Take It. I did not like those at all.
I like that. I thought that was well done.
It felt really out of place to me. Like, you get a nice original score made by Koji Kondo, who's been with Nintendo for about 4 decades now, and then all of a sudden Mario's being chauffeured through Donkey Kong Kingdom and they're playing Take On Me, and it's, I don't know, it's really kind of off-putting to me. And then when they're in the carts and they're getting ready and all you hear is, "You've been thunderstruck," like, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't feel like Mario to me. And in another movie it might have worked, but I just didn't care for it.
It's interesting. I liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty good, and I thought it was going with the tone that they were trying to set. You know, I didn't, because those songs really aren't edgy. They're sort of,
they're very safe.
well, Take Me On's vibrant, like very 80s coked out. You know, you got a lot of synth in there and very Take Me On. You know, and then the thing driving the thing's got the sports jacket on and sunglasses. Like, I think even someone was like, "Oh, we're underdressed for being here." Like, I laughed at that. And then Thunderstruck, I mean, obviously it's gearing up for a big moment. It might be the football, you know, being just in a coliseum, you know, and having music playing in certain points of like recognizing, like, they're doing a really good job at identifying kind of the swells and momentum in this movie, you know, and putting on, I thought it was appropriate. Like when they hit Thunderstruck and they're all hopping in the cars to take off, like, you knew something big's about to happen, you know, and it's just kind of setting the tone for where we're going.
I get what they're going for, but I think, me personally, I would have much rather heard an original piece of music that conveys that same kind of emotion. But
I don't know. I think you have original music, to me, like when you're identifying momentum, it's hard just because you've never heard it before. So there's no we keep talking about expectation, but it doesn't really set the bar for where you're going, because it's all like John Wick to me. I don't hear those songs. I've never heard those songs in my life, but I know, like, between the swells what's going on, you know. But I think that like, you need, like, there's some movies like that where you have to have that. Like this, I don't know. I think I identified her. It's set up for what was about to occur, and I guess that's where we kind of disagree. I liked it a lot. I thought, and there wasn't anything that I hadn't heard, and it was all really just popular songs that are kind of, you know, I mean, general pop songs. Yeah,
and they're good songs. I like most of them, but just in this movie, it was a little weird to me, at least.
Yeah,
and
you were looking for a lot more originality, it sounds like.
That's what I dig for, man. That's what I'm trudging up. That's what I'm going there to see. But yeah, I don't know. There's just I feel like I'm being a little too harsh with this movie. Am I being too harsh, Mac?
You have different expectations than the rest of us. You've played 12 of these games. I don't even know there's a Mario RPG game out.
I can tell you all about Mario.
That's what I'm like. That whole universe I bet you, like, if I ran into someone that, like, like, you know, I'm just thinking about, like, have you ever seen the President's Men? All the President's Men?
I've heard of it.
Okay, well, there's a guy called Deep Throat in there. He gives classified information out, you know. But I'm just thinking about, like going through a car garage and, like, meeting up with someone that's going to tell me about Marvel's Avengers and how, like, Avengers 1 sucked, you know, and then go through the whole comic universe and, like, just enlighten me to everything. Like, I think that's the difference here, is that, and when you look at something that you know the whole universe on, you can probably do a better job of tailoring it and creating it in a way that would be original. Whereas I think that's where I'm saying is, like, this is the demographic of this isn't that population. It's of all the 8 to 10-year-olds out there. So, like, expectations.
And Mario fans in general, I would say.
Yeah, like, I mean, you have the Easter eggs and whatnot. And for, like, I'm a casual fan, and there are things I picked up on with this. You know, so, like, I think this is more of who it was geared up for. So I think from what I'm hearing from you is you were hoping that they'd identify your generation a little bit more, of the people that have grown up with this game their whole lives and know the whole universe, versus the casual fans and the kids.
I will 100% acknowledge that I think a big reason why this movie is not really having great reviews with critics, I can't even speak today, is because a lot of them just don't know Mario. They've never played Mario. They've never experienced it. And I think that if you're someone who doesn't even have, like, a surface level knowledge of it,
right,
you're not going to get much out of this movie.
You're literally looking at this thing as if it's a kid's film. And this is, if you don't know anything about Mario, this is no different to me than any other like Disney movie that came out, like early Disney. Because I was about like Sing. Like I try to think about Sing compared to like Illumination products, and Sing I think is fantastic. Have you ever seen Sing?
I watched it years ago when it first came out, and I don't remember much from it other than the koala in the car wash.
I mean, it's fun, it's poppy, and he's trying to keep a business alive that was handed down from generation to generation. So there's, like you said, there's a little bit of deep characterization going on, and some plot structure, And with this, like if you just watch this surface level wise, this is very vanilla. There's not much going on, and it is bright, and I think it moves quickly, and it's colorful. But outside of that, if you really don't know, and I'm not saying like I really do know Mario, but I at least know about it and play the games and have some of the reference. Like, yeah, I don't. The script, to me, the script sucks.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like the script is awful in this thing. Like watching this thing, I think I was telling Jasmine, the beautiful Jasmine,
shout out.
Yeah, shout out. That I got to like 3/4 of the way through this thing and was like yawning. Like it did not hold my attention that long. But at the same token, I sat there. I'm like, I don't know what else, unless they do something that you're talking about a little bit more with what's going on with the characters.
Yeah, and I think that's really the biggest thing for me.
The other part too is, I'm just gonna say this, kind of hard when you're doing a fish out of water, kind of. To make it deeper, especially if it's like, hey, we're gonna go to Looney Tune Land.
Yeah.
It's just the whole premise and the setup. It's a little difficult. You're gonna go and get sucked down a pipe and get thrust into this acid-created world, and we need you to struggle.
Yeah.
But also you're gonna have to keep 7-year-olds happy.
Yeah, I could see that. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about, and it was with one specific voice actor.
Oh, God.
I did not think Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong was good. He was
I can't believe you
terrible.
did that.
He was fucking terrible.
I thought you were going to go with Seth Rogen. I was about to sit here and try to defend Seth Rogen.
No. He was like fine for the most part, except when he laughed. Like that kind of like bugged me a bit. It's a Seth
Rogen laugh.
I know, but I can't help but think of stoner Seth Rogen whenever I hear that stupid fucking laugh. Yeah. Anyway, Cranky Kong was fucking bad, dude.
That's so funny that you say that, because like I didn't know who that voice actor.
Worst voice actor in the movie.
I went, and I think after he was getting like 6-7 minutes of him, I finally just like, I think he's going for like old Jewish guy.
That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I told Megan when we got done with the movie. I was like, that did not feel like an old like father figure character to Donkey Kong. It felt like a fucking old Jewish lawyer that I would get to hire for a patent issue or something.
Right, and he's got a little too much knowledge, a little too smart for everyone in the room. So
like he just got out of bed and he's pissed off that you woke him up.
But I mean, and then like whatever he's telling you is like a little bit above your head, and he's like knows that you won't get it, but also is going to get frustrated that you don't get it.
Yeah, he was so bad. It took me out of the movie.
I was sitting, so like the whole time I'm like, who is this voice actor? Who's this character? And then I'm like, what is he going for? Like I don't know anything about Cranky Kong. And I was shocked that it was him. I thought it would be Donkey Kong. So when they get here, I'm like, is this guy just like because I don't know anything about that.
It's just super annoying, and yeah, like it doesn't feel like he plays Cranky Kong. It just feels like he plays angry middle-aged guy that just got out of bed. Like it just feels so out of place.
He just sounded annoyed the whole time. Like exactly. It wasn't even like cranky. It was more like just annoyed.
Yeah,
and then the fact that he was
annoyed and sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I think I convinced myself that I was like, all right, I'm fine with this because he's got the glasses and he's kind of doing the. I'm a little too witty for everyone, so maybe that's why I'm annoyed. I kind of got on board with it by the ending of Cranky Kong going out, where I was like, all right, he was shown a picture and this is what he envisioned. But I didn't think he was that good.
No, he was by far, at least to me, the worst voice actor in the movie.
So odd 100%. Too that he just went with. I don't know. Maybe he just had a hard time envisioning what Cranky is.
Like it didn't even seem like he attempted to make him sound
Thank
old.
you. or attempted like, I'm going to become this character. Like it was like, I'm just showing up and like, all right, how do I think of Cranky? Oh, I'm going to go with this version of what I think.
Yeah, it was just it was bizarre. It was so bizarre to me. And I think that's the word I would use to describe that whole ordeal. It's just bizarre.
With
Cranky Kong. It's just weird. All the other voice actors and the voice performances I thought were at worst fine. Like Jack Black being the standout, and then Chris Pratt was like, okay, maybe he took me out of it a little bit sometimes, but it wasn't like horribly distracting like Cranky
tried.
Kong.
I felt like he was like, all right, I'm gonna give this like a 6 effort, like when he could have did a 2.
I will say I think the trailers did him dirty. I think the trailers really did him dirty because it felt like they used a lot of different takes that they didn't ultimately use in the final movie.
They even could have did a reshoot with them, and just said, hey, we got to get a little bit more.
That could have been it. They're like, hey, can you bring it up at least 2 notches for us?
There were
Mr.
times
Pratt?
where he was like doing like an Italian dialect and then our accent.
It was like Italian Brooklyn kind of thing.
Yeah, but it would always like, some of it would resonate and some of it just fell flat.
Some of it just sounded like Peter Quill.
Yeah, that's the only thing that ever took me out was this. I hate when I get into these goddamn films. I say it all the fucking time. When you make a person that's got to have a fucking accent, and then they do it half the time because all I think about is, are they going to do it the next time? And then I'm listening to the fucking accent, like, do they get it? Did they get it? Are they going to get it? Mm-hmm. And then you just sit there and it's like, oh, that didn't sound good. And now you're not even thinking about the goddamn film. You're just like, he fucking like.
Yeah, which character is this guy going to be now? Is he going to be Mario or is he going to be a Marvel character?
Am I just reading up? And that's. I for the most part in this thing, after the first probably 20 minutes of him going, it actually didn't pop back up into my mind until Rainbow Road, where I was like, I can't. I was like, well, no, he's been good. Just forget it.
I liked that Rainbow Road scene, by the way. I liked it.
I did. Dude, I'm telling, like, this is a movie. This is, you know what this is? This is Spider-Man for me. This is a Spider-Man 1. This is a movie that in 10 years from now will be a background film. And that I'll probably lose nostalgia for and bitch about. But, for right now, that's where it's at.
Mm-hmm. I would rewatch this within the next year, I would say.
It's a very easy... Dude, this thing is like, to me...
Yeah, after John Wick, seeing that 4 times, almost 3 hours each time, it's like this one just soared on by.
Yeah, wow. And so for as bad as the script is written, this thing does move really well. I mean, like...
It's quick.
There are movies that you're like, that's a really bad script, and that movie drags.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. But this is this was like, all right. Like I really didn't realize how bad the script was until about Donkey Kong. Where I was like, oh, this is really all just surface level.
Yeah. There's
and
nothing deep here.
That's when I got really pissed off. Like, so the whole dad thing happens at the beginning, and I was like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like halfway through, I was like, So I really hope we don't come back to that.
Yeah.
Because we've done nothing to dive into any sort of... They did... Oh, you know what it was? It was when they were in the whale. And they started talking. He's like, my dad hates me. He's like, well, at least your dad thinks this. He's like, my dad thinks... And that's when I was like...
And that's kind of the scene where I kind of point to and wish there was a little bit more. Because...
Talking dialogue. Like, hey, we could add 2 more minutes of dialogue here.
We could have something... in the way of meaningful character interaction, but then they just choose to jab at each other some more, like throw jokes. And I don't know. I would have liked a little bit more.
See, here's the thing.
With
this
character.
This is what I will say. Mm-hmm. Either you don't have the whole aspect of being a failure, or, right? So if you take out the dad thing, they eat dinner, there's some jokes. The dad's like, well, hey, you know what? Just keep your head up. Mario goes in there, and then Mario has self-doubt as opposed to being a failure in someone else's eyes. He has self-doubt within himself. Because then you can go into the arc of building up your self-esteem and confidence. Mm-hmm. Have an interaction at the cafe where he goes up to talk to the gal, like any chick in there, right? And she rejects him, and he doesn't have the courage to go say anything to her. And then you can start to see Mario kind of coming through and gaining self-esteem and self-confidence. And it's like, this is how you go. Or
you can go the other way with it.
With the dad, right? And you have in the whale, like that scene, build upon that, right? So like what they did is a toe in, a toe out, I'm half in, half out. Like
Yeah.
we'll have a little bit here so that at least there's some redemption. But at the same token, we don't want these kids watching this and all of a sudden kind of having some like thoughts.
Yeah, we don't want these kids to think for themselves. You kidding me? Anarchy. Was there anything else that we wanted to say with this movie? I think I've said all I wanted to say.
Oh, 100%. This is like I said, this is a greasy cheeseburger with just cheesy fries.
I'm really hungry right now, so you saying that stuff.
Oh, dude. I just watching that thing. I was like, they're empty fucking calories, but the best empty calories you'll ever have. Like that's how I think of this thing. Maybe not the best because there are other movies that, but in terms of kind of like what you're getting, I mean, for 90 minutes to go by that fast and beautifully done and some laughs here and there and not much thinking, like just strictly pure entertainment and enjoyment. Yeah, I couldn't. It checked off a lot of boxes. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, like this is not a great film, but in terms of like what they put on screen for your eyes, like fantastic.
I would really be curious what you think of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yeah, I know. I gotta check that out.
I want to hear your thoughts on it so bad. Cool. I guess we can get into ratings. What would you give this?
I gave this a 8 out of 10.
Saw that coming.
Yeah,
that's where I guessed you were gonna be at.
This is, I think, the 8 out of 10s for me are a lot of those empty calorie films. Like if it's well done and it's entertaining and you can get through it, and maybe we could probably theorize on a couple things from this thing, maybe not a whole lot, but like there's some talking points, and it's just, I mean, like well done, like that's where you get the 8 out of 10s. The 7 out of 10s are the ones that are close, I think. Like now I'm just thinking about this out loud, but like in the 6s and the 5s and the 3s, yeah, like this to me is an 8 out of 10. But I'll tell you guys, I mean, like, and that's where that like hyperbole scale comes into effect, because I would say like in terms of the other aspects of the film, not great.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you there. Yeah, I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10.
Guessed it.
Yep, this is where I'm at. I liked it overall. I'll probably watch it again within the next year, like I said. But in terms of characters, I wish I would have gotten a little bit more so that it separates what I normally get from the games themselves and makes the movie stand on its own. But overall, I like the animation. I think that it's captured the tone of Mario really well. And yeah, no, it's definitely a movie that sets itself apart from what we're going to discuss next.
1000%.
Yeah. And speaking of that, shit, we might as well just jump into it with
do it.
Super Mario Brothers, the live action movie that came out in 1993. I will give a synopsis of this, and then we'll just tear it wide open.
We'll just go.
Yeah, we'll just go. Let's-a go, as they say. So, like I said, this movie came out in 1993. It stars Bob Hoskins as Mario and John Leguizamo as Luigi, Dennis Hopper as King Koopa, and Samantha Mathis as Princess Daisy. And it was directed by Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, another duo director team behind this movie.
Married? I think they were married.
I know that they worked on movies together. Like, they were a team. I didn't know they were married.
Yeah, they were a couple. I mean, from what I've read, I think I've read married because I thought it was odd they didn't have the same last name. Mm-hmm. But then you also read about this thing. It's like, well, I guess not shocking if they're not together.
Right. And that's kind of what made me think that, oh, maybe they're just a team. They're working together.
Yeah.
But anyway, this movie starts out in a very peculiar way with Bob Hoskins giving a sort of narration about the dinosaurs being wiped out by a meteor. And then the movie opens with this woman who's running through the streets in the rain. She's got something underneath her scarf, or her hood, essentially. And she drops it off at these church steps. She knocks on the door and runs away. And the nuns open it, and they find that it's an egg. And inside the egg comes out what seems to be a little human baby, baby girl.
Seamus.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, what the fuck is this? And then I think it's, 25, 30 years later or something. And the Mario brothers, played by Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo respectively, are working on their plumbing business. And all of a sudden they meet Princess Daisy. Well, they don't know she's a princess yet, but Luigi is infatuated with her. They help her with fixing some of the pipes that the Scapellis sabotage. And next thing they know, they're thrust into an alternate dimension where humans had evolved from dinosaurs and reptiles instead of apes.
Yep.
So there you have that. And meanwhile, Dennis Hopper's King Koopa is trying to find the meteorite piece that Daisy has in order to converge the two worlds so he can rule over the both of them.
Yep.
And I think that's, spoilers for this movie. Oh, boy. So I want to talk about...
Just reading that out loud, how ludicrous this fucking sounds.
So at what point did the concept of it being a Mario movie lose you? Because... there's not a whole lot with this film that has to do with Mario as a property or a game franchise.
This lost me when it opened up with the 65 million years ago.
65 million years ago, the dinosaurs were wiped out by a meteorite. It's like,
I didn't even... when things happen in films where, like, every film, everything's written for a purpose. It's got to perpetuate or keep the plot going.
Yeah.
But there are times where you just, like, something happens in a film and you're like, you could cut that out and it would have no impact. Mm-hmm. I thought that little segue scene was that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when that happened, I was like, this is odd. And then they had the human come out of the egg. I was like, that's even odder. And then it's just Mario and Luigi, like, doing their plumbing shit.
So let's start this from the beginning, because I have an experiment that I might want to conduct one day, and I don't know how I'll do it. But imagine you took the title card of Super Mario Brothers out and you started the movie. How long does it take that person to figure out that it's a movie about Super Mario Brothers?
How versed? Okay, so here's the one thing. In terms of entertainment, Mario is decently versed. Like, when you walk up to someone in the streets and just start talking about Mario in regards to entertainment, I feel like they talk about the video game.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So, like, when you do that experiment, is it like a certainty, or is it like, I think? Because, like, when Luigi, like, you hear Luigi and Mario talking, there's a definite I think. Mm. I've seen bits and pieces of this film before, and I remember when I saw it was a I think.
The only thing that I think would give it away is Mario's first line in the movie, other than the narration where he says, "Mario Brothers plumbing service, no leak too small."
Right.
Like, that would give it away immediately.
He says, "Hey, Luigi," and they go, "Hey, Mario." Like, they talk to each other, and, like, but that, I don't even
hey,
know
Luigi, hey, Mario.
Right, but you could, like, I don't think you'd go, "Oh, this is a movie about that." Like, I think you have the only way, to me, is when this is, like, solidified, is when they're in with the Goombas in the elevator and they're in red and green.
They're in the jumpsuits.
Yeah, that's the only time I'd be like, oh yeah, this is a movie about Mario.
Uh-huh.
That would take, in fucking this, regards to this, theory of relativity, fucking lifetime to get to.
So I want to talk about a little bit about my childhood experience with this movie.
Yeah, go knock it out.
Yeah. So I was around, I want to say 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. This was in probably like 2004, 2005. And I was young enough to where in the summers when my parents both worked, my grandpa would watch me like every weekday. Mm-hmm. And we lived nearby a video rental store. And they had a lot of older videos that you would get on VHS that you wouldn't normally find in a chain like Family Video or Blockbuster.
Right.
And I was curious because I was really deep into Mario. Like I said earlier in our discussion of the previous movie, I've been a Mario fan pretty much my whole life. And so at that point, I was curious because I was watching a lot of movies from that store. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a movie version of Mario. And so my grandpa took me down there, and it was close enough to where we could just walk. Mm-hmm. And so we walked from his house to the video store. And I go up to the counter, and I ask the guy behind it, is there a Super Mario Brothers movie? And he goes, yeah, right over there. And I go and I look, and it's this exact cover that is on the DVD that I'm holding now. And it's If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's of Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo standing with these really powerful looking boots, and it's in like this blue chromatic
It's very
style.
1984-esque.
Yeah, like it's very kind of, it's like almost an illustration of sorts.
Yes.
And I looked at it and I go, oh wow, what's this? And so I got it as a kid, and I popped it in, and I didn't think much of it. I was just kind of entertained by it, surface level, and I liked the fact that the characters were called Mario and Luigi.
Right.
And because I was such a Mario fan, I really didn't think about the differences or the creative liberties that they took with the material, and that stuff just didn't cross my mind. And as I got older, looking back on it, I thought to myself, I haven't seen this movie in a while. I know it's not good, and people say it's not good, but I just haven't seen it recently enough to judge. And so my friends and I had a bad movie night in 2018, and
You knew it was bad enough to watch it then.
I knew it was bad enough to watch it then, but I didn't remember much about it. And
Okay.
there's a lot in this movie that just boggles my mind, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, this experience, I feel like, is like Will Smith and Men in Black. I don't know if I've seen this movie 8 times or just this for the first time. Because I think after every time I watch this thing, like Will Smith comes up with that device, and he's like, "No, you won't."
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and like it's just scrubbed.
I have the same exact experience, because when I watched it in 2018 versus now, I didn't remember much from it then either.
I really think this is just so bad that like your mind, like there are like, here's the thing, like you have enough RAM in your brain, right, to remember certain things, but like being a computer processing, like I feel like there's like, nope, that's spamware, and they just delete it.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what this is.
I think you're right. I think you're onto something, because I think what it is that there's a lot of like action and point A to point B that goes on in this movie, where the characters are running around in different places and things are happening, but it's hitting you over and over and over and over again with all this constant like really 90s setting, like some bad dialogue and yeah. And I think there's so much going on in terms of like what's happening on screen, but you don't get a lot in terms of characters or story, that it just completely leaves your mind, like after like even a week or so of watching this movie.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's going to be stuff that I fail to remember, even though I watched this 2 days ago.
Yeah.
All right, so where do we even begin with
I don't
this?
know, dude.
Where do we even begin?
This is such a fucking mess of a film.
So the elephant in the room being that it has almost nothing to do with Mario as a franchise.
Nothing. And we could both talk about what we've read on this thing too, because I mean, some of the information I have, I mean, like the only guess is like anything that's available to us to read, right? So, this the first, and now from what I remember hearing, this is the first live action video game made into a film.
Yes.
Okay. So,
and for a while, it was the only movie that Nintendo gave the rights to a movie studio to make.
You wonder why?
For the longest, like the Illumination Mario movie is 30 years after this one.
Right. They probably were like, we're gonna make sure we're around.
Yeah. Shigeru Miyamoto was a producer on the new one, which I don't think we mentioned earlier, but he's got a grip on Mario now that he just will not let anybody have.
They saw what happened, and they're like, yeah. What's really funny is like on the reading, there was a director that they had pegged before Horton and Yankel.
Yeah. Horton and
Jankel. Yeah, it's like DeGrom or something like that. Greeman, something along those lines. He directed. Get this. So the two. All right. So if you guys don't know, the directors here, and by the way, they haven't gotten into shit since. I think it took them 20 years since that came out to get like another like music video out. They were fucking ripped apart by everyone, cast, crew. No one liked these people. They got so bad that they had to bring in more producers to this film to get money for because it was so over budgeted at the time that they kicked them out of reshoots and editing. Right, these people were terrible. I guess one of the guys dumped coffee on someone when they
Yeah.
said you don't look dirty enough.
They had a lot. Yeah, they had a lot of animosity towards the cast and crew, and like especially
very kind way of saying that.
especially the script writers too, because I think they were just pissed off because the script just kept getting rewritten
Yeah.
over and over again to the point where it just fucking made them furious.
Well, dude, there was like some of the characters like Iggy and Spike got to the point where they were like they didn't even read the script. They actually got creative liberty over their characters because of how many reshoots rewrites it went through. So what's funny to me is that the two directors that they picked, and this is where I'm really curious about that meeting that they had with whoever produced this film. Was it Warner or?
Let me look it up. I got the page open. So Hollywood Pictures, Light Motive, Allied Filmmakers, Synergy Pictures.
Oh, dude, they there's a lot of people that, from what I've read, they had to bring in more production studios to.
I was gonna say that's a lot of production companies to list for your movie.
That's why they got some of those rewrites. They had rewrites during the thing, and then when they did the reshoots, they did rewrites with the reshoots and completely took the directors out. But what I was saying is the guy that they had pegged before those two directed License to Drive, Bushwhacked, and Brink.
Okay.
So
I don't know any of those movies.
Well, so License to Drive, it was with the two Coreys, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim.
Okay.
It was kind of like part of the 80s, like when they were kind of on up. Bushwhacked, who's the bad guy in Home Alone? The taller one.
The not Joe Pesci guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bushwhacked is a guy, like a convict that takes over a scout, like an Eagle Scout team. So here, like what I'm saying is like you're hearing camping.
Daniel Stern.
Yeah, Daniel Stern. So you're hearing like, can you look up Bushwhack? Because I think they take over. He takes over an Eagle Scout team, and they help him get through the desert with them. Like he takes out their camp director, the Eagle Scout leader, and it's very campy and fun, right?
So okay, I got the movie. Greg Beeman.
Yeah, Greg Beeman. That's the guy.
Okay.
So. And then Brink is a Disney film in which kids they're rollerblading. Sam right now is like exploding. Yeah, it's about inline skating like in the streets of California. So like imagine a 1998 Disney film about that.
Okay.
So anyways, the three, like kind of what I'm saying though is in common with these films: campy, fun, kids dealing with younger audiences. Mm-hmm. Horton and Jankel, did you see what they did before this?
I will look now.
Yes. It's called like Hardwired Harry or something like that in DOA. Okay.
Okay. Max Headroom 20 minutes into the future.
Yes. So they did it was like either there was a series or like a character, but they based it on like a dystopian, industrialized future.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Blade Runner for kids, this movie.
That was like they're kind of fucking dude. Honestly, that's why I think you love the Blade Runner films. You watched this so much as a child. You were like,
probably,
like,
maybe
you were already like,
this was my introduction into cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got to that point for Blade Runner 2049. You're like, I don't know why, but this is hitting everything I've ever wanted it to. Like,
it's the same set designer too as the first Blade Runner movie.
Really?
As this one. Which makes a lot of fucking sense when you watch it.
So I'm very curious as to like, Greg Beeman goes in there. They're like, Greg, you're the guy for this film. And he walks out going, boy, howdy, And then those two assholes come in and say something. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Super Mario's goes from like, hey, kids film can't be fun to like,
hey, it's always nighttime. Everything's fucking gross. Everything's depressing.
Yeah, slime and fungus. Are you fucking nuts?
Yeah.
Like, I still don't know why they just had the fungus everywhere. Do you want to know why? Because it was the mushroom world. So in their creative...
Because it's the mushroom kingdom.
Yeah, their creative eyes, they're like, this is going to be like really
even though, what the fuck did they call it? Dino Hatton?
Dino Hatton, yeah.
Yeah, like the fuck... The weird... the biggest divergence, I think, and I watched a video on this, and that it kind of... It didn't make it make sense, but it explained it to me a little bit better.
Sure.
Is that they were trying to figure out whether or not they wanted to go with something that was more akin to the Mushroom Kingdom in the games, or if they wanted to go with something more akin to the dinosaur levels that you get in Super Mario World. And because both... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to jostle your microphone. I'm hands talking, so I'm moving around quite a bit. I'm passionate. They were trying to figure out which of those to go with, and they decided, fuck it, we'll just try to go with both. And that's why you get lizard evolution and like the fucking Koopa King being a fucking T-Rex, but he's a human because he's evolved so far. But then you've also got like the mushroom fungus king thing going around and helping the Mario Brothers along the way. Like it's a mix of tones combined with the fact that they tried to make it gritty, and it feels so fucking out of place.
So imagine just being Kurt Cobain, okay? And
I've done that a lot recently.
Yeah, like imagine just being like Kurt Cobain.
This is the third episode in a row we've talked about Kurt Cobain.
Someone gives you a Miley Cyrus 2008 song, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to do another version of this. Like just put it in your own terms, but kind of keep it light and poppy."
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck do you think you'd get?
Nobody's perfect.
Like, it's just like
all right, so yeah,
the studios even were like, we want to make this for kids and we want to make this fun and campy. Like, they even said that.
And the directors were like, dark, depressing, gross, got it.
Yeah.
You got it, Chief.
100% understand what you're saying. I can't wait to show you the final product.
It's like, do you hear me loud and clear? It's like, loud and clear, sir.
Yes.
We're sending it. And then they hang up the phone and they go, hey, where's the fucking nightclub with the buxom ladies?
Oh my God. That they hired real strippers for.
Yeah, I watched a deleted scene from this movie, and there's like an actual woman in what looks like lingerie in the background, just dancing with her ass hanging out. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this movie's based on a video game for kids.
You really forget sometimes, like, watching it. Here's the thing, it's safe but not safe. So like watching this, it's like I don't even know who this is really targeted at, because like kids aren't gonna jive with this.
Well, it's weird too that you say that, because I got to thinking that with the music. Like, the music that they included was very like, oh, it's happy-go-lucky Home Alone, wacky hijinks ensue. Like, we're flying along the prison wall and we're hanging onto this, like, bicycle handle that we're sliding along.
Whoa!
And it's, like, super fucking wacky, but then, like, the world itself looks like something straight out of fucking Judge Dredd.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the fuck are we going for?
Yeah, dark and callous.
Yeah, like, really cold, really gross. Like, when they I feel like we're going all over the place. We gotta, like...
I don't know if we can, Kyle. I would like to, but there's so much shit in this fucking film. Like, it's hard. Because, like I said, rabbit hole. One thing just leads up to another, and you just see how everything's connected with this thing falling apart at the seams.
I know. Let's talk about the characters.
Okay.
Mario and Luigi themselves. They don't look like they're brothers. The fucking Bob Hoskins looked like he could be John Leguizamo's dad in this movie.
It is a weird, like... All right, I feel like how I felt was like, all right, Bob Hoskins was the prom night kid, and like Leguizamo was like they were 35 and had a oops-a-daisy.
Yeah,
and that's how they're kind of like where they're at.
And they try to make it work with the explanation during the dinner date scene that they have, like the double date.
He's like my father. He's like my mother. I mean, he's like my father. He's like my brother. I mean, he's just like, he's like everything to me.
Yeah, they try to make it work with that explanation, but it's still fucking weird. The fact that they don't have Luigi have a mustache in this movie.
To tell you the truth, I was still at the whatever.
Yeah.
I was still 30 minutes in the past in this thing when they're doing all this. I didn't have time to care about why these two are connected.
Yeah, it's not like the worst casting, but it's just so bizarre to me, like why. And then like it's funnier to me because of the new Mario movie coming out. I guess John Leguizamo has been giving it shit because they're not Italian actors, which is funny because I'm pretty sure Bob Hoskins isn't Italian.
Is he?
He's not.
Oh no. Well, no. So I think what he was saying, he wished there was more diversity in this film. From what I read, I don't know if I saw Italian. I read more diversity because he was very appreciative because I think this was his first big movie, I want to say, or first leading role. And he was talking about how he's a Colombian actor, you know. And he was very appreciative that they gave him a shot because he's not Italian. Neither of them are Italian.
Oh, I thought he at least was, especially if he was making those comments.
Well, maybe I read it wrong. I read that he was a Colombian. He's from Colombia.
He could be. I don't really know.
Yeah, Leguizamo. I feel like that's the surname there is of Italian descent, but I don't. He said he was, in what I read, he said he was Colombian, and then I was like, oh, that makes more sense.
Maybe his mom was Colombian or something.
Yeah, that he's talking about a little bit more diversity in this, but
yeah, no, just like King Koopa as Dennis Hopper,
awful.
Or Dennis
Awful.
Hopper as King Koopa, I should say,
Awful.
but like just really fucking weird.
Awful.
I don't did. It didn't even feel like they tried to make the characters look like the characters from the games, right? Like that attempt at like his hair, like having the spikes in his hair, was that their attempt at like making him look a little bit more like Bowser?
No, I think it was more of a lizard.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep the lizard dynamic going here, and everyone's gonna have these.
Everyone's gonna love the lizards.
Really like industrial, like this neo punk fucking, you know,
yeah. Like
hey,
a cyberpunk type of tone.
Like we're gonna do weird designs, and it's gonna be of a different universe. Like that was their envisionment. Was like they're in a different universe. So we have to create this as like closely related to Brooklyn, and at the same token, you know, like as futuristic and out of this world as it could possibly be, with people relating.
Yeah.
No, I think. Well, and I read too that the directors, the studio was really pushing hard for Luigi and Mario to be in red and green, and the directors didn't want that at all. They wanted them to be completely unrecognizable. And that scene at the end, I don't know if it's a reshoot or they finally were like, you're getting them in here, and that's why they did it at the end.
Mm-hmm. They don't get like the red and green suits until like probably like what, 65% of the way through the movie.
They're in the elevator wherever dude, this thing felt like it was 4 hours, so wherever was at,
the pacing was terrible. Like it just fucking dragged
because there's no development. It's like we're just gonna take 18 scenes and glue them together.
Yeah,
and like here you go. So everything it's incoherent,
it's repetitive,
there's no continuity whatsoever with where you're at or what's going on. You're in this completely made up universe, so even you as a film goer can't like, oh, they're relative from here to here. You're just in this blank canvas watching the shit, and the only thing that's supposed to keep you involved is like the aesthetics. And no wonder this thing, none of the characters like the director, so all they did was call him they made fun of him behind their backs.
Yeah, didn't John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins get drunk between scenes in this movie? So there are certain shots in this movie where they're both just fucking hammered.
So Leguizamo they were drinking scotch because their idea was like, if it's gonna be miserable, we might as well make it fun. Well, they had to do a scene where they're driving, so he had to accelerate on a van and then slam on the brakes. Like broke Bob Hoskins' hand.
Jesus.
So there's like scenes where they had to put a cast over his hand, and they painted it like pink to make it flesh looking, and apparently like you can see it.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Leguizamo also got drunk and got hit by a car on set and broke his leg.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins said it was a nightmare to shoot.
Did you read? Yeah. Stabbed 4 times, broke my hand. There was like one other incident. He's like, it's amazing we got through this. And like, it's kind of like all fun and games if the movie turns out well, you know, but like
it's like
the worst wasted time. The only good thing that came out of this is he got paid.
It's a lot of work for something that turned out to be so shit.
Yeah.
Like I was watching an interview with Bob Hoskins, which I didn't know he was British, by the way. So I guess that's a testament to how good of an actor he is.
I could see that. He is in a film where I'm trying to think he has a British accent, because the younger Bob Hoskins, I was like, I know that guy, and I'd have to look up his filmography, but like,
because he was talking about how like, oh yeah, no, they had me suspended on this thing, and they said my character was gonna jump on this mushroom, and I was gonna jump up, and I'd have to grab on Luigi, and I used to play King Lear. It's Just very honest about it.
He said he used to call him the cunt and the cow. Like that was his nickname for the directors.
Really?
Yeah, the cunt and the cow. And they had the whole cast had T-shirts made up with slogans of that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they said that awful, just awful. Dennis Hopper was like, he goes, I was supposed to show up. He goes, it's the worst experience I've ever had. It was awful. They were terrible.
Jesus Christ, these guys were fucking maniacs.
Well, they were supposed to show. He was supposed to show up for 5 weeks of shooting. He goes, I was there for 17 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah, so
that's insane. I mean, it kind of makes sense though with the fucking sets and the amount of what looks like stunt work goes into this movie.
I didn't even read up on that. The interesting thing that I read on the set design, right? Mm-hmm. It was 1.5 miles of plywood used. They used 150 tons of steel and 65 miles of lumber.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's huge, the set that they built for this movie.
Yeah.
It's insane. And I think that's probably the most positive thing I can give this movie that I didn't necessarily think about before is the set design and just how grand it is. It's impressive. And it's the same set designer that did Blade Runner. So of course, naturally I like what they did, but I mean, at the same time I don't though, because it's not Mario. It's completely conflicting tones with what it wants to go for.
And they, they were talking about kind of writing this thing, and they said that they didn't want to go they almost I can only imagine it would have been worse. They wanted to have it where it was the only thing just the name, and they wanted to have it be more of I'm trying to think of a movie set in the Mario world, but not about Mario.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what they were like. So that's where kind of
anthology series Mario.
Yeah, that's where you see some of the confliction going with, because that's what the directors had in mind, and obviously they have so anything that got written, they can only imagine how much arguing went on.
Oh my God, yeah, I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall during those times. Yeah, no, yeah. How do we? It's that same question of how do we begin?
Well, we don't have to. We just keep kind of. I mean,
just keep kind of delving into what's wrong with it. Fucking Yoshi, he's just a dinosaur.
He's
not cute like he is in the games. He's not adorable.
He's
a fucking creature.
It costs. Okay, so here's the thing. So did you look up this thing? Cost $48 million to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it grossed 28 US domestically, and then
it fucking tanked.
20 world. So this thing made 20 domestically, 20 worldwide. So it grossed 40. So it was 8 million short of what the budget was. They went over it. I just had to laugh. Yoshi and the making Yoshi and the puppeteers that do Yoshi cost $500,000.
Jesus. Yeah, and all the Goombas.
Oh my God, dude. Here's where I got really annoyed, and I was like, I was already this film's kind of dragging.
Goombas.
No, it was we de-evolve them, right? So they show the lizard brain, the shrinking. Well, okay, so now you're pretty much just a reptile, right? They get out of that elevator and they're dancing with each other, and then there's some general. So now they understand hierarchy and leadership or authority, right? He goes a tan hut, and then they all stand and salute, and then he goes, where'd they go? Or have you seen they're talking? I'm like, you can't de-evolve someone and then still be they understand the English language in this entirely fictional world.
I was just baffled at the fact that those were supposed to be Goombas. The fucking Goombas from Mario are short little mushroom things with feet, and that's it.
That's why I think they did the tiny head.
Yeah, that was maybe their attempt at, but they made them tall as shit. They're fucking huge.
Yeah.
And some of them have actual reptile faces. They look straight up just like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Well, aside from the round-headed ones, some of them just looked like little tiny velociraptors or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. It's just super inconsistent and weird. Yoshi was fucking weird. I was baffled because I completely forgot the guy that has the guitar with the swirly haircut was supposed to be Toad.
Yep.
I'm that's fucking supposed to be Toad. the fuck is this? And I guess his character was supposed to be more involved as to like kind of act like a guide to Mario and Luigi through Dino Hatton, but they chose to de-evolve him like right away. And he's like, oh, now he's the Goomba with the harmonica. Yay. So just fucking baffling. Like, as a Mario fan, you can't have missed the mark any more than they did with this movie.
Oh, it's not even close.
It's not even fucking close.
This isn't even close.
Like, it's I don't even want to say embarrassing, but it kind of feels like that. Like, it's embarrassing how far they missed it.
That's why that guy has 30 years it took to make another one, and he was a producer.
Yeah.
Like, people
Jesus.
aren't idiots. Like, you can watch this and go, they could have ruined the branding of the game with this film.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like, if you imagine being
like Mario could have been done.
Like, imagine being 8 years old, right? Because it's PG, and you've never played Mario, and there's this movie coming out, and like you talk about it with your parents or friends, and they're like, yeah, it's based on a video game, and it's like, oh, sweet. And then you go and watch it, and the parents are appalled, and you don't know what's happening, and it's dark and gritty, and it's like, I don't know really. They're weird looking because it could kind of be scary, I think, in a certain realm. Like that you would just be like, oh, I'm good. I don't want to play Mario. Like if it's going to look like that, I'm kind of, like I'm good.
I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah. And imagine being the guy that's like, this is kind of where like it made Nintendo, right? Mm-hmm. Like watching that being like, we're going to lose out on all these sales because of this.
Yeah.
Like, give me your fucking hammies. Give me your hammies. We'll cut you up by your fucking ankles. Like, no way. You know?
And I think that might be a big reason why this movie, especially now with like the new one coming out, is not easy to find anywhere on streaming or online or
they
to rent or anything. They like, I think that's kind of their attempt.
Yeah.
As to like not have it be available for streaming anywhere, is to just like scrub it. Like I think you can only buy a used copy of it now on Amazon. Like I don't even think you can buy any new copies anymore.
I won't be shocked. They did. I did read that super fans went through and created. They found a VHS copy. They did what you did with it, Mm-hmm. But they also found like the deleted scenes and stuff. So they got it all onto like a Blu-ray that I don't know if you could buy it anywhere. There was a website that's you might be able to buy it from someone who could just have the file and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple deleted scenes that I watched that were in that video that I watched that they included, like King Koopa when he gets his pizza. I guess there's a scene where the guy drives up and he, it's after King Koopa turns to goo and he's like, hey, here's your pizza, and he like throws it in the goo kind of as like a fuck you to King Koopa. And then there's a scene where Iggy and Spike are in the dance club and they're rapping.
Yeah.
And I can see why they didn't include that. But
yeah, those guys wrote that rap too.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. 100% makes sense to me.
I read I got through a line of it because whatever I was reading said like if you want to see it, you could watch it here, and then it's like or read the lyrics here. And I got through 2 stanzas. And I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Don't need to. I've already wasted my time with this fucking film.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
And this is more of just a general hypothetical.
Okay.
If this movie wasn't called Super Mario Brothers and the characters were called something else, like
Larry
they were given
and Frank.
Yeah. Would this movie have been as poorly received?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm telling you,
because I think the tonal disparity really brings it down, regardless of whether or not these characters are Mario or Luigi.
This is just really bad movie. This is a really bad movie. I'm telling, we just talked about it. The pacing's awful. They go 65 million years ago, and then they go up to 20 years ago, and then they go to present day. I missed the present day because I looked down at my phone and I looked up, and all of a sudden it's Mario and Luigi, and I'm like, I think this is present day, but I didn't see the title card come up present day. But then in my head, I was like, we've had 3 time changes in the first 4 minutes of this film.
Yeah.
And not only that, you have the chick dropping her off on the doorstep to the nuns, this fucking egg, right? And then King Koopa is waiting for her in the bowels of the city. No one really knows how he got out because he never goes I'm going to leave. Or maybe there's a deleted scene of him walking through the streets that they're going to have after he kidnapped her. Mm-hmm. And that's where you would see his inspiration to create Dino Hatton. But they took that out. And then it's just into Larry and Frank. And at that point, it's like Larry and Frank. Dude, this movie is this is a 1990s Disney film that got put into theaters. Like,
Yeah.
to me, this is something that I would watch if I was 6. And like, if you had like just Larry and Frank, it would just be kind of like, oh wow, you know, like look at all this stuff. Like that's about as far as it goes.
Oh yeah, like aside from the fact that these are Mario characters, at least they're supposed to be. If you took that out, I don't think how I would feel about the movie would be much different.
I don't think
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing I do kind of like though that I didn't think about before. And it's not like their characters have any substance or anything, but I think that John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins have good chemistry. Like,
oh yeah,
they could have easily put them in a much better movie, and their performances would be praised because I think that their chemistry together works.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, like if you're looking at like some of the good qualities of this film, that is one. When they're on screen, you're paying more attention. Mm-hmm. Not to say that anything good's gonna happen,
right? But their interactions are entertaining enough.
They felt like they were related. Like the relationship that they had developed felt appropriate, and it felt carried on throughout.
I think that's a testament more to just how good of actors they are versus the fucking script or the directing.
Dude, here's the thing. It's like you show up, you guys both know. Leguizamo maybe not so much. But
maybe it's the alcohol that helped them too.
Well, I'm saying like you're hanging out. Hoskins is going over about how bad this is. Leguizamo's like, yeah, I've never really done much, but like this doesn't seem right, you know. And then it's like, then you go through the stuff. You're getting berated by the directors. You can tell that you're on your 4th rewrite in the first week of acting or on set. Like you can tell that it's a fucking shit show, right? Mm-hmm. And then Hoskins is like, hey, I got some scotch. Let's get drunk. There's one of two ways you go. One, I'm a professional. No, thank you. 2, let's do it, dog. You're my boy. Yeah. And like, so I think that's like ride or die for how long they were going to be on set. And like, that's why it seems genuine. Because like, if you're sharing a miserable experience with someone, you're going to make the most of it. So
together.
Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been weird if like you find out like him and Dennis Hopper were like that. Because you really wouldn't see that interaction unless they shared the screen, which is hardly...
It's not a whole lot.
Right.
It's like mainly towards the end.
Right.
Speaking of the end, I fucking love that they did the... Mario, Luigi, you gotta come help me. What's going on? It's real bad, guys. We're in trouble. We need your help. All right, let's do it. And then it fucking goes to credits, and you never get a fucking sequel. Nothing ever comes of it.
No, fuck no. Are you kidding me? They got done with that. I don't even know how that made it in there. Like, I don't know what got...
Like, they had to have known that it was a shit show and that there wasn't going to be another one. Like, why include a fucking teaser for a potential sequel?
The one thing that I will say about this is, like, we've got to go back in time in 1993. You've had scroll screen video games. There's a couple maybe, like... little bit more sophisticated. Like, was NES out or Sega?
Yeah, the SNES.
Yeah, like I think there's maybe a little bit more going on. You know, I don't really know. So you make a live action video game at that time. It's like, oh, we're bringing this 3D element into it, and it's actually in the, you can see it. It's not just a scroll screen, and we're actually bringing it. So, like, I think that there was, like, a little bit of hope there, whether it's an illusion or not.
Whether or not the movie was going to be good, if it was going to make money.
But, like, if you had a live-action Duck Hunter, like, at that time, right? Mm-hmm. Like, let's say, and you created, and it was the same shit show that this was. There's still a glimmer of, like, we're bringing Duck Hunter to life. Yeah. And it's hard, like, because now people want to live in video games as opposed to bringing the video games to the screen. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's completely transmorphed, and you have this virtual reality element. I mean, it's completely different from back then, because at that time, it was just 2D imaging, and you're just going through a scroll screen. So I think there was, like, a little bit of hope of, like, this could hit if kids and families and all this stuff see it, and they go, wow, this is what Mario is like,
Mm-hmm. But no, it just fucking tripped over itself and fell down. Fell down the stairs.
Dude, there's no good dialogue. Like, this is there's a weird scene where he orders that pizza that like, when I talk about things that could have got cut, there's no callback to. There's no reason for him to order that pizza. No, Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of, like, the Scapelli thing with. There's no real reason that didn't even need to be in there. No, if you take that out, there's no conflict whatsoever. Yeah, like. You know,
they're just there to serve as an excuse for them to get to Dino Hatton.
Well, and the best thing too is you have Iggy and Spike that are hunting Daisy, and I might have missed it with a little bit of the dialogue, but like, I don't know who they are. They're
supposed to be Koopa's cousins.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm saying like at that time when they first popped on screen, I was like,
you're right.
Is this Scapelli's people? Like I was like, I don't know what they're doing here because King Koopa gets introduced, but it's only one shot of him, and no one goes, "Oh, King Koopa," you know, and then he like goes, "Yeah, come here," you know, and like you just don't know who Dennis Hopper is.
Well, yeah, even if you're familiar with Mario, King Koopa pops up on the screen, you're not going to go, "Oh, it's Bowser." Like that's not. It doesn't register in your mind because of the different fucking choices that they made.
Yeah,
it's so fucking weird. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could keep talking about this movie, and I feel like I could also just not talk about this movie.
It's tragically bad. But, I mean, but there's a lot of there's so many. It's weird to think like in a creative liberty with the film and the product, and to say we're gonna try this, and it's just kind of this movie couldn't be any more different than what just came out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
there's a reason why Nintendo didn't allow any movies from their property to come out for 30 years after this.
I hope that like Nintendo like sat down, whoever directed this one, the Janforth or whatever that guy, Havelforth, who just directed the new one, sat him down and was like, we're gonna
Horvath and Jelinek.
Yeah, and Jelinek, and then it was like, which is kind of weird, Jelinek and Jelinek.
Jelinek and Jankel.
Jankel was in this one, the 1993, and Jelinek's the 2000.
Yeah.
Odd, right?
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yeah. But like sat those two guys down and like, you're gonna watch this movie for the next, you know, like we're gonna rerun it 4 times. You're gonna sit here and watch it 4 straight times. And if anything like that pops up in this film, you're fucking fired.
Yeah.
And they like
you are blacklisted from Hollywood.
Yeah, and they like got done. They like walked down like, we're not touching that.
They're just sweating bullets the entire time.
Oh my god, like this isn't
no
even...
one has felt that much emotion watching this movie since that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is interesting. I do find it interesting that Dino Hatton was based off of some of those like industrial looking scroll screen, you know, Dino verse like Mario. Like I don't know what, I haven't played the game or that any version of that game to have seen those, but to like take that world and make Dino Hatton out of it, that is kind of creative. I mean, and then like you said, the set is creative, and to have that,
the set it feels like they put a lot of work into it, and it feels very lived in. Like I like the set of it, and I like the sort of effort put into it, but at the same time it conflicts with the tone that they want to go with 100%.
I mean, you know, and there's no dialogue. I mean, if you looked at the other Mario ones, it's like you're watching it, and if you had to create your own world, I mean, it's easier now having seen, you know, Mario talk and go through these worlds, right? But at that time, like I'm kind of defending him to a little bit, just of there's no dialogue. It's do, and it's just going through and running and stomping on Goombas, and you know, and you jump on a flag. Like you watch it, it's kind of like, what would Mario be thinking right now? You know, like, and so you're completely going off of just having played 3 levels. I'd be interested too if the directors that have ever played the game, like I
haven't been to downtown in a couple weeks. Must have been a bad couple of weeks. That's a line from the movie. Anyway.
No, I know that. I'm just like,
yeah, you're just baffled at the script. Yeah,
tragic. How about the scene where they get Toad, and Toad gets, you know, I love it that they're in the max security prison and they're just kind of free roaming with Toad. You know, like they're like, we're gonna de-evolve him and show that process, and then they de-evolve Toad, and you know, you're like, oh, okay, and then they escape, and it's like, oh wow, okay, max security, and not only do they escape, they almost get King Koopa de-evolved, but just slightly enough to where he gets a little bit of that.
Gets a little more primal.
Yeah. You know, so that's like, oh, cool, and then they escape, and it's like, I don't like, this is fun, not really, like. This is top of the line. We're evolved security prison, and it's like they're just out. They
just goofily escape.
Yeah, not even like really. It's not even like strategically done.
Yeah,
I thought it humored me.
It's just like they just brute force their way through everything.
Well, I mean, it's
like there's so many scenes of them like crashing into stuff or like crashing through things or like fucking chaos everywhere.
Oh, dude,
while they're just running away.
How many takes are there where they just show like this, like they're supposed to be like, yeah, really primal and like non-sophisticated or like non-intelligent or not even, I don't know what they were going for in terms of like the society, but like people like, there's one scene, some guy's just riding his bike and rides it right into a wall.
No, I was like, why did he do that?
Yeah,
like, what the fuck was that?
There's no real reason, nothing was going on. He just was like, oh
yeah, they just wanted to show the chaos of Dino Hatton, and this guy just decided to schizophrenically ride into this rail and fall off his bike.
No real reason for that. Nope. It was so.
And then I also love that I don't think they turn Toad back into Toad.
No, they don't.
Even though they absolutely could.
Yeah.
Like the Mushroom King comes back and he's just sitting there. He's like, oh, that was funny. And then like you never see him interact with his daughter or anything.
That was so bizarre.
It just cuts and she's like, I have to form a relationship with my father. And then like you never fucking see it.
If you love her, you'll let her go and understand that the love that she has and the relationship she needs to build is much more important than you could ever offer. And if you do love her, you'll leave her. Yeah, you're right. I am going to go. Prince Daisy, it was great meeting ya.
Yeah.
Take care.
How weird was that scene where they're both kissing each other and Bob Hoskins is just standing there looking at him like,
I don't know. The whole thing's just fucking odd. Like there's no, everything that happens in this doesn't make much sense. And like Dennis Hopper is so wildly bad in this thing. You can tell that he just doesn't give a shit. Every line, there's no real like emotion whatsoever delivered into any of these lines.
That scene where he's ordering a pizza is just actually him ordering a pizza because he's so fucking bored with being on set.
Yeah, I guess I'm watching this, I was like, is this supposed to be like humorous?
Yeah.
Nope,
that was the goal, but
he weirdly hits on Prince
mark.
Daisy. Like that was another weird.
They say that every girl remembers their first time with a lizard.
Oh yeah, he did do that.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's weirdly fucking sexual for a PG movie towards kids who love this video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many fucking bizarre choices. Just really tone deaf. There's a few things that I kind of sort of appreciate about it now that I didn't think about, but yeah, overall it's a fucking wreck.
It's a colossal fuck.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad.
Colossal fuck. I don't think I've heard that one yet.
It's like I said, all right, here's a great, when we get into the ratings, so you'll now understand why I rarely give out these certain types of ratings. Like you can kind of tell where I'm at emotionally right now and what I've seen.
Like you kind of want to attack me right now
it's
for
not
putting you through this.
It's not attack you. It's like I just look at this film and I see those two assholes sitting there smiling at me and I was like, I'm straight up not having a good time, bro.
Oh my god, that's the slogan for this movie. Just straight up not having a good time.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I think multiple times I looked at Jasmine. I was like, I don't know how much longer is in this film, and I also don't know where we're at. So I'm just at a really weird mixture of not knowing where I'm going, nor how I've gotten here.
Yeah, I wanted to watch this with Megan, but the timing just didn't work out. So it didn't end up happening.
Megan,
I might have saved her from a fate worse
congratulations.
than death. Yeah. Might have hated this more than Funny Games, although I doubt that.
No, I doubt that too, because this isn't like, that's like itchy under the skin, kind of uncomfortable. This is just bad.
Yeah. This is just stinky.
Dennis. So I had to laugh because like they kidnap the girl and they get into the drain system, and all of a sudden there's that, like, it was kind of reminded me of Mario 64 with the some of the levels, the hidden levels, you could jump into the wall and then it would
the paintings.
Yeah, it would do the whoosh. And
I think this movie came out before that game.
It did. So I don't know if it was just I thought it was kind of cool. They just showed it and I was like, I don't know if they pulled from there. Like that's kind of a cool thing, but like then the princess comes out and she's like, Luigi, help.
Yeah.
And then it's like, he's like, where's that coming from? And it's like, Luigi. And then like a little, and then she goes, Daisy, is that you? Show us if that's you. And then like her whole head comes through and they like somehow magically get that thing. And I'm like, where, why?
Yeah.
What?
They have the meteorite and then they fall in, and yeah. And the effects are like really dated.
Oh, terrible.
Really fucking bad.
Terribly
Yeah.
so.
Her face popping out looks like something out of a fucking Dune David Lynch film. Like
Yeah, kind of. Or
yeah.
just really bad.
Yeah.
Just
What's
really
the
bad.
difference? You know?
They turned Scapelli into a monkey at one point.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know if
they had
that's
to- they had to throw a monkey in
de-evolving
there.
Gun going on.
De-evolving gun, but they probably wanted to throw a monkey in movie because kids love monkeys.
I guess.
Yeah.
Like
That scene went on way too long too. Like people were just like, ha ha ha, look at monkey.
and they picked him up. He's like, "Boss, is that you?"
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, you watched a human being be turned into an animal, and everyone's like, ah!
Not only that, but how about the clothes that just magically fit it? Like they de-evolve it, and like not only that, but the clothes, like they got the monkey suit. Like it's a nice gun to have.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
You get-
someone's pissing you off, turn him into a monkey.
Well, but the tire fits.
Yeah.
It'd be like this, and all of a sudden, I'm a monkey with just shorts and the shirt on.
Like you turn me into a monkey, I'm gonna be mad. But if you turn me into a monkey, my flannel still fits. Like
yeah,
we're okay.
Boss, is that you? Let's go get you a banana. Yeah. Yeah, what else? And then Dennis Hopper, then they go back.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then they had the weird thing with.
Then he transforms into a bunch of different dinosaurs, kind of, when he's being de-evolved again. Then he turns into goo.
I didn't see all that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I
Did
started.
you fall asleep?
No, I was reading. I started reading more about this because I was like, who the fuck?
Who has the audacity? How dare you?
Who signed off on this and why?
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to see who directed this. And so like I immediately went to the filmography, and I was like, well, actually, I take that back. My guess was when watching this, I was like, I don't know if these people have ever made a film after this. Like there are times if it's your directorial debut and you fuck up this bad and go over budget this bad, like you're not gonna have a chance.
No.
And I was right, you know. And I think they've really, when I say done nothing, I literally mean it took them 15 years to get like a music video back.
Yeah.
And that's for one of them.
Damn.
So
Rest in peace, career.
yeah. So I had to look that up, and then that's when it just kind of started going into like, okay, what else is, you know?
Yeah, we can kind of wrap things up.
Let's
Was
do
there
it.
was there anything else we wanted to say about Mario?
Oh, I'm sure we could talk for another 2 hours about this thing.
Probably.
Like this is not even this is surface level pissed off.
Yeah. All right, I can go into my rating.
Sure.
This is a 4 out of 10. This is real stinky. I like the set, and I like Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo's chemistry, but yeah, no, really just bad.
Yep.
Just bad. Maybe kind of bordering that so bad it's good line sometimes, but that's only if you're watching with friends, I think, and you can just kind of laugh at how bizarrely weird it is.
Yeah.
And not Mario at all.
No, not at all. This literally is just a movie that has that name. Like that's about it. Like I think that's about the only relationship it has with the character.
Mario, and Luigi Mario.
Yeah, there's three of us. There's three Marios. No, this is a 3 out of 10. This
Yep.
is a 3 out of 10. This is maybe once I've never been mad enough. There's still, like I said, if I can take away talking points and you know the entertainment I get is maybe, and I don't like doing it, but bashing it, you know, like hey, so be it. Like I got something out of it. Terrible, really bad. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. I'm fairly certain that in 3 years, if you ask me, I've seen this. I think the only thing I'll remember is having talked about seeing it. Yeah.
Well, at least you don't have to live with owning this on DVD. So
Actually,
but it kind of works out because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see this.
dude, I'm actually not lying when I would. So here's my counterculturism, or even just, you know, and yes. I saw that no one owns this thing, and that it's so bad it had to be scrubbed, and I was like, I must own this now.
Yeah.
Like,
It has to
even
be
though
preserved.
I hate this, I need to have it because no one else does, and then I can still pass it along.
Yeah.
Like-
you can still spread the gospel.
Yeah, you know, in consumerism, capitalism, thought you could get this out of the system. It ain't, baby.
No,
it's back. It's like, Mac, you must love this film. No, I
No.
fucking hate it.
To make you know and understand how bad this is, you have to watch it.
Yes.
You have to.
Yeah, if you really want to see where you can go, you know, test the limits of your critiquing. You
Yes.
know, the critiqueness that you have. Like I would love to find someone that just goes, I watch this solely for entertainment and I never have anything good nor bad to say. It's solely how I am like, entertained throughout, and if I get lost, like that's about it. Like I'd be like, I've got a movie to challenge you.
Yeah.
I want to see if you could say this is bad.
Absolutely. Speaking of bad, the opposite of bad is good. And we got some good answers for our question for the audience. Yes. So I posed a question on both Facebook and our YouTube community page. We got a decent amount of answers that we can go over. So thank you guys for leaving those questions for us. We appreciate, or the answers for us. We appreciate it. The question that we posed for you guys was, what's the most uncomfortable you've been watching a movie with family/friends? What movie was it, and what scene was it specifically that made it awkward? And then I also said, try your best to avoid spoilers if possible.
Okay.
So our first answer comes from Chris, who says, I watched Moonlight with my grandma.
Oh my God.
The beach scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was, I think I read that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
I think I watched that movie with Gideon, and it's not weird when it's like with, someone the same age as you who you generally just watch movies with. It's like, okay, I kind of expect this from this movie because he kind of told me what it's about. But going into it with a grandparent who may or may not have those values or anything.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I know Chris's grandma, and she's very accepting. Like, she's a very accepting person.
Sure.
Like, 2 of her sons are gay.
Oh, okay.
But still, it's not an ideal movie to watch with your older relative either way.
Right. I think it'd be even funnier if, like, as it was going on, she started talking and explaining, like, relationships. Like, it's like she sees it, and to break the ice and the uncomfortableness was like, now you see, Chris, and like try to explain what, this is completely natural between consenting individuals, and it's like, all right, we both know what's going on.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Right.
And we'll be on to the next scene.
Yeah. It could have been worse. Like, imagine if she was, like, super unaccepting of that sort of thing. And, like, just she would have, like, made you turn the movie off.
I'm thinking of, like, a racist homophobe. Like, I'm just thinking, like, if I was in the room, like, and... One, I don't think they're watching that film.
Right. Like, you're not going to be watching Moonlight in the first place.
Right. Like, let's say you're kind of racist, kind of homophobic, Like, and all of a sudden that hits, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what's getting shouted.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there might have been probably some instances where that's happened with this movie.
100... I'd say 90%.
Yeah,
sure.
You almost gave 100 out, but
I'd
reeled
say
it back
I'm
a bit.
Fairly certain that at some point someone was like, some racist was with someone that was progressive, and they don't know because it doesn't pop up on, like, whatever websites are, like, checking movies out on.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, watch Moonlight. It's like, sure, and then all of a sudden you pop it on. It's like, oh, I don't know about this.
Well, it's funny too because, like, there are some older people that just go to the movies and have no idea what movie they're seeing.
I know, isn't that nuts?
And they just go in blind. They like make a day out of it.
I know, they circle a movie. It's the title. Like, I've never. It drives me nuts sometimes. My dad would do it sometimes. Would just be like, "Oh, let's go see this film." It's like, "What's it about?" It's like,
Yeah.
And it's like, "Are you a monster?"
Yeah, there were old people in the movie for the third Divergent film. Like, there's no way you guys have seen the previous ones, and it doesn't help that it's not called Divergent 3. It's called Allegiance, so you don't know that it's a sequel.
So they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go watch a World War II film."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, back in my era.
Yeah.
But it's funny to me that they could, like, just go to the theater not knowing what they're gonna see, and then they could totally see a movie like this with that scene.
Yep.
And go like, oh, I don't like it, and they like just leave and walk out.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of it's a little silly to me. I can see why they do it because they're old people and they want something to do when they're bored. So they're like, let's just go see a movie.
Since we got to do, so we're gonna hear these. We might have to rank these moments. Because I want to say, I want to see, like, what one's the most cringeworthy, at least in my eyes.
Oh, okay, that's a fun idea.
So technically, right now, this is number 1.
Yes, by default.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we can go on to our next answer from Levi, who says, I once brought a girl to a date to see The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh.
And there's a scene of graphic nature in that movie. The whole theater is quiet, and she says, why did you want to watch this?
Yeah.
Ooh. See, that one's almost on equal level with Chris until it gets to the silent theater where the girlfriend says, "Why did you want to watch this?"
Yeah, he didn't say girlfriend. He said he took a girl to see it.
Took
So this
girl
could
to
have
see
been
it.
like a
This is probably
second date.
second date. Yeah.
Like finally, like, all right, well, we got to do something else. This would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine, like, hey, we're gonna go to Steak and Shake, and then I want to go take you to see this film. I heard it's getting good reviews. Like, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've not done this same thing, but I've taken a girlfriend to see a movie that neither of us knew what was going to be like. And it was Gone Girl. We both saw Gone Girl, and
yeah, that not as bad. There are like uncomfortable moments.
And I haven't seen Girl with Dragon Tattoo.
Oh,
so
you
I don't,
haven't?
I don't
You
know
don't know what scene that
I don't
is?
know what scene he's talking about.
So hold on real quick because my buddies, they went and saw this in theaters, like Sam and I think his friends did. And like I hadn't seen it yet, but I heard about it. So the scene's popping up, and one of Sam's friends knows what's about to happen. He just goes, "Hey," like, get ready. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe I'll check it out then. That almost makes me want to watch it more.
Oh, dude, it's you. Yeah. What we'll have it with. Put it on for you and Megan. See if it.
Oh yeah, like funny games. You know?
Yeah, like see if it's not funny game, dude. That movie's really good. I like that movie a lot, and that scene. The more I've seen it, I'm desensitized to it. But the first time it kind of pops up, you're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
Not necessarily like old boy bad, but
just like catches you off guard.
it's kind of, but you see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like you.
So it's like a sense of dread.
Oh yeah, it's kind of the golf ball that's coming at you, and like you just see it in the distance. You're like, that's gonna hit me, you know. And you just kind of watch it and hope that it.
Nope. It just smacks you in the forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's rough, especially
Pun intended.
Yeah, especially when she says that out loud in a quiet theater. That gives off the same energy as that girl standing up after Everything Everywhere and going, "You owe me after that one. That was such a fucking awful movie."
Yeah. Well, I don't. It kind of. This is like that is a third of the way through the film when she said that. So not only does she say it out loud where everyone can hear that, there's still 2/3 of the film to go.
Right. Like the movie's not done yet.
Yeah.
At least with that one, the credits were rolling. But this one, it's like, yeah, no, people are still trying to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, not only that, but like, imagine being Levi watching this thing. Like, all right, third date not happening.
Yeah,
like, you know, or like, all right, where am
and
I?
you still have to sit through like a third of this movie.
Well, you're still one processing what's on screen, but two processing what just happened there. So like,
Yeah,
I would be. I'm telling you right now, I'd be red in the face and sweating if that happened to me, because the embarrassment of like being the only one to talk here. If someone saw her say that to me, I'd be thinking about everyone, what they're thinking. And then it's like, what's she thinking? And then you're on screen and you just saw that. And there's still another scene to come that's not as bad. Like it's a little bit of however, it's better, but like it's still graphic.
Yeah.
So
this is easily worse than Moonlight Grandma so far.
In terms of sheer embarrassment and uncomfortable, I think so. Anytime you watch a sex scene with your family,
it's not a good feeling,
especially
Yeah.
grandma. So but I think just being out in public, I'm gonna say I'd be more uncomfortable with that happening. I think than with my grandparents passed away when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So like I couldn't imagine, like if I had seen it, I might be able to even laugh.
Right. You could have a totally different experience.
This is so fucking out of left field right now and uncomfortable that we just start laughing.
And yeah, there's a similar feeling that I'll get to later with one of these answers.
Yeah.
So our next one is from Katie, and this is a very, very specific answer that she gave.
Okay.
She said, "Neither a movie or a friend/family. However, it was cringeworthy and laughable. My youngest son's therapist was visiting. I thought it would be a good idea to start watching Game of Thrones. Mind you, I've never watched it prior and had no idea it contained so much nudity.
Oh.
The first nude scene that appeared on screen was the same time my son's therapist rounded the corner and into the living room." Yeah. This one's interesting because of just how specific it is. Like, your son's therapist is over visiting, and you decide to watch Game of Thrones. And there's boobs on screen, and he just rounds the corner, and all of a sudden, oh, there's boobs. Interesting. Like,
Yeah.
just the specificity of this answer is what I think makes it stand out to me. Not necessarily that it's like the most cringe or uncomfortable amongst the previous two.
It is imprinted in your head.
Yeah.
If you have that moment lived out, you couldn't imagine the sheer embarrassment that you felt.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Like, it's kind of a similar feeling I had one time when I was watching Under the Silver Lake at the house I was staying in.
Oh, yeah, when they
Muskegon.
just started going to Pound Town on the bed.
Yep. And one of the first scenes in the movie, and then my roommate, Zach, just walks right in, and he's like, hey, what the fuck are you watching?
Yep.
Like, yep, nope, I can't explain this. It's just it's a movie.
I mean, it's
not like
it's
not like I'm watching Pornhub in the middle of the living room.
I'm saying like that. I think there's times like where you like someone walks in on the sex scene. It's like that one's like, all right, it happens, you know. Like I don't think that there's much embarrassment about that. I like this one. That's what I'm saying. This one doesn't sound awful.
No,
I think it's more in the context of you're having some help coming in from the outside, and it's like they don't know your whole living atmosphere, what you do, you know. And it's like okay. Imagine you're watching Under the Silver Lake and that therapist comes around the corner and it's like you have to look at them and like, I don't know. Like, I don't watch. This isn't.
Yeah.
It's always when he's over there. You know how many questions you have to answer in the judgment that you're just feeling like right then?
Well, plus the fact too that it's like your son's therapist. Like, it's not just like your uncle or your
that's what I'm saying.
Your
like
dad.
If
like
you had
your son's therapist, it's like a professional.
I mean, anyone could have, like, you could have had a cook coming in that's prepping meals for you and like turn that corner. And it's like, I think it's a little different though. Like when you talk about like something like with the environment that you're in, that's when it turns into like, because that dude sees it and like, oh, guess they're just titties bouncing around 24/7. Walks out the door.
Yeah,
you know, like
he like takes a notepad. He like jots some things down and then walks out
like
without saying a word.
Yeah, like you don't want to. There's just like it's that judgment and questions. Like I don't want to answer this because like I just turned this on. I heard it's got good reviews.
Yeah.
That's I think in my eyes the best excuse ever.
There's always though that moment where you have to explain to the other person that you're not watching pornography. That you're like, I didn't know this was gonna happen. This is a movie. I'm sorry.
Dude, if it's on and I'm like, I just look back. I was like, either sit down or get the fuck out. Like, I completely, dude.
Get on the roller coaster or get off, as Max says.
Hey, you know what? If you throw that thing on and you know you're watching it for a scene, that's when I think the defense comes in. You know, like I don't know, you know, but like if I have it on, like Old Boy's is a classic example. I was in college and my roommate walked in, you know, and I was just like, I looked at him, I was like, it's bizarre. It's a Korean film. And he's like, oh, okay. And like walked out. And like, I was like.
But I feel like some people are a little bit more understanding than others in terms of that.
No, I think it's how you perceive like when someone comes in and like the embarrassment you get. Like, it's like, all right, I'm normally like a clean individual. Like this is going to completely tarnish how this person looks at me or thinks what I watch. That's what I think. Like if you get in there, like if anytime like you're watching a film, unless you know there's a certain scene coming up, you know, that you put it on to watch, that's when it's different. And that's what I think, like, that's where I would feel the judgment. If it's like, hey, you get to see Scarlett Johansson's tits in this, it's like, really? I'm okay. And you throw it on, and all of a sudden, like, you're watching it, waiting for it, and someone comes in, you're like, oh, whoa. It's like, why are you watching this really shitty film? You're like,
why are you watching Blue is the Warmest Color right now?
I heard it got good reviews.
It's not because of the scissoring scene, I swear.
I'm telling you guys, too, if anyone ever questions you, if you have tits out, sex going on, something questionable, and they ask why, you just say, I heard it got good reviews.
Yeah. You just say nunya and leave it at that.
Damn, drop the mic.
That's the lesson I'm getting away from this anyway. So, with that being said, our next one is from Joanne, my mom.
Oh, interesting.
She says, hello, my birthday, you and your cousin Daniel, when we watched Girl on the Train. More brown chicken, brown cow scenes than I remembered. That's her way of saying more sex scenes. Like, it's kind of a, that's the way she says it.
It's an inside joke.
Yes and no. It's something. But yes, basically her saying she wanted us to watch this movie because she remembered it being good, and then they threw it on.
Good reviews.
And it got good reviews. And then she said that she completely forgot about all the sex scenes in it.
How many are there?
There's at least 4. I'm
4?
pretty sure. Yeah. There's a lot. There's like people banging in the woods. There's people banging in their house.
I remember that. They're doing it like doggy style in the woods. That one caught me off guard because isn't she like running and she just looks over and it's just
like the 4th time and they're just fucking raw dogging it in the fucking woods.
That's the one. I don't remember the sex scenes, but I do remember that because she's just running and she looks over and it's just like
yeah, it's just like
yeah. I remember being like, this is so amateurish. Like, a lot of it felt out of place, and it just felt like a sleazy director just getting sex on screen.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't really help that the movie itself wasn't good.
Not at all. That movie
bad.
sucked.
It was a bad movie. My parents are like, oh, that's a good movie still, though. I'm like,
why?
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I don't want to take the time to explain it, but it isn't.
Yeah, and they would say that, and I would just kind of go like, yep, sure.
Yeah.
I liked some things in it, maybe. Preferably if you guys weren't around.
So your mom's like, this movie's fantastic, and then she made you watch it, you and your cousin, and then all of a sudden
me and my cousin, who is a year older than me,
slapping cheeks and tits bouncing around.
So
man,
what happened was, so it was not only my mom's birthday, but it was my cousin's birthday too, because they share a birthday. And we went out to dinner and we were talking about it, and I hadn't seen it. Daniel hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if my dad had seen it either, but my mom saw it and really liked it and was like, hey, I really like this movie. We should have a movie night. But I was like, okay, well, since it's your birthday, you should get to pick the movie. And she picked that one because she remembered liking it a lot.
Yeah.
But she didn't remember all the banging in it.
Yeah.
And yeah. The thing that I took away from that situation the most is that, so this happened almost a year ago, exactly. And the thing I gathered from it is we were at an age at that point where, you know, because if a sex scene comes up and you're watching a movie with your parents, if you're like maybe 16 or 17, you're going to feel a little embarrassed maybe.
Oh, there's
some like,
yeah,
oh, your stomach drops kind of moment, you know.
Oh,
you
yeah.
feel a little bit too warm inside. Whereas now, if I'm watching a movie with my parents and a sex scene comes up that we don't know about and it's like really goofy and out of place like they are in those movies,
yes,
we can just laugh about it.
Yep.
And about like just kind of make fun of how goofy it is. And I like that I'm at that point now where I can just do that with my parents if something like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
great.
Yes.
I'm going to say that's number 3 for me. So far, I think.
So far, the dragon tattoo one is first, probably.
Yep, that's what I think.
And then Moonlight Grandma.
Yep.
And then probably Therapist.
Yep.
And then this one.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we've got 2 more, so
okay.
We'll see how they fit amongst the ranking. Our next one comes from Lauren. She says, we watched Titanic in 6th grade, about 4 classes worth of students, and they tried to fast forward through the draw me like one of your French girls scene, but it kept buffering.
Damn.
Yeah.
So it would just pause?
It just kept playing over and over again, like, oh, wow, booba. That's awesome.
That'd be so sick as like a fucking 6th grader living in that. I saw that with my mom.
Oh.
That was a very... Yeah, I was hoping for a lot of these
things. That's a whole evening right there.
Yeah, we watched it as a family. I think we watched, we got it from Blockbuster, and it's actually, that scene is right before the second tape had to go in.
See, that one's not as bad to me because it feels more like, oh, these are 2 people who genuinely care about each other having an intimate moment. And then
6th grade me, I'm like, this dude might get, his penis touched.
You're right. But there are some scenes which are like, like it's the scenes in Girl on a Train where it's just like...
when did that movie come out? 99? 98?
Somewhere around there, I think so.
It was 5th or 6th grade. I might have been in 5th grade.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's...
Anyways,
it at least it's a little more like, oh, these are like 2 people who care about each other. It's fitting. Whereas like in something like Girl on the Train, it's just like nonsensical fucking. Yeah, is what it is.
100%.
So I feel like that one's not too bad. And if it's
we're not listening to, we're not shitting on anyone's embarrassing moments or how you felt. I mean, obviously this is something that impacted you guys enough to remember it. I have a couple in my head that are seared there. So I just, in terms of like what's going on, because I think maybe it was embarrassing being a girl and like kind of, you know, being before the maturity sets in, and having Kate Winslet up there with her fucking double D's.
The fact that it was 6th grade too, it doesn't help.
I'm just saying
because
how awesome that'd be as a what? Dude, if I was in 6th grade and that thing just kept, I mean, I would have that image living here.
well, from not only like a girl's perspective at that time, but also from like maybe a teacher who didn't know that scene was in, or like, well, I guess they knew because they tried to fast forward, but it's like, okay, you're a teacher and you're trying to teach these kids that just got out of elementary school about something, and you show them Titanic and like the boob scene comes up. Maybe you don't want them to see that, but like if this same thing were to happen in high school, it wouldn't be a big deal, because by that point I feel like kids are old enough to where, like, I don't know, they're not going to be like as affected by it.
6th and 7th grade, you're kind of getting into like a little bit more of the advances, you know. That's what I'm trying to think. So I remember in 6th grade I was trying to do things not crazy, but like, you know, like if you see that, I'm just telling you, as a boy seeing that, that'd be fucking awesome. I would feel like, especially if it's a substitute teacher, then I'd feel really embarrassed. If it was like Mrs. Drew, I'm like, you know, brought it on yourself.
Shout out to Mrs. Drew, I guess.
No, that's not a real person. I couldn't think of a name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like the made up Mrs. Drew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could understand how that would be embarrassing too at that time if you're a young girl and you're, I don't know, first learning about things. But
yeah,
as far as like overall on this list, to me, that's, I don't know, maybe like second last, like ahead of
no. To me, it's
Girl on the
last.
Train.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm girl, dude. I mean, at that time, like, so, and as being like a mom and being like, all right, we're gonna throw on this film and recommending it, and then forgetting that's happening, and then all of a sudden after the first one, you're like, oh shit, there's 3 more. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like your mom was like, oh, this is only one. Like, as soon as the first one hit, she goes, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm stuck in this thing, and the last one's gonna be these fucking people in the woods.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know exactly what's coming every time, and so every time it happens, like, you're mentally like, you're in your own head thinking and probably sweating, you know, and then you got your kids over there and it's like, you're trying to like, what do I do? You know? So I think there's a little bit more, it's worse, but like the family stuff, you know, and having it, and at least you're the owner in this. I mean, I've recommended oh, that's another one.
Are you having an internal?
No, I always try to think of these ones. I'm sure I'll list off a couple when we're done with this that I can, and you know, I don't need to go into it, but
Well, we've got one more.
Okay.
And it's from your brother, who posted on our YouTube community page. So thank you for using the community page.
Shout out Sam. I wonder if this involves me.
Yeah. So Sam says, I became a film enthusiast at an early age. I felt compelled to watch every Best Picture winner. Given the intense subject matter in the films of the Best Director and Best Picture of 2005, my mother would not let me watch without parental guidance. So I watched Crash and Brokeback Mountain with my mom. Lifelong trauma.
Yeah.
That's how he caps that off. Yeah, I've seen Crash. I haven't seen Brokeback Mountain yet. That's on my watch list. But from what I remember in Crash, really the only bad scenes are like when Terrence Howard and his wife in that movie are kind of fooling around, and then the cop scene happens. That's really the only scene I can think of, though.
There's that. I think the subject matter alone.
Oh, yeah. There's another scene with a topless woman that I remembered now.
I don't think it's necessarily the sexual acts that are going on, but the racism and the realistic,
the heavy subject matter.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There are times where that kind of.
Yeah, and then Brokeback Mountain would be a rough one too.
Pardon the pun. Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't seen that one. That's on the watch list for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a recommendation sometime for the both of us. One that neither of us have seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
that very well could be.
How would we rank this amongst the list?
This is probably. Boy, I don't know, man. Brokeback Mountain with.
I feel like it'd be ahead of the Therapist one, at least. Like it would be above that.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't want to say I'm desensitized to it, so I'm kind of leaning on you on this one. I just can't. It's right there with like Moonlight Grandma.
Yeah.
You know, like I do feel like 2005, Sam would have been 13, 14. So it's kind of coming into your own. Now, if you haven't had a girlfriend and you tell your mom you want to watch Brokeback Mountain, it's a little like, okay. Like, especially if you're like just saying, like, my parents aren't like, they're movie enthusiasts, but it's not like they're like, we're movie critics, you know? Like, we like to watch movies and maybe have heard some things on it, but like, wouldn't necessarily know the subject matter. So for your son to come in there and say, I really want to watch this film, and then being like, well, you're going to have to watch it with me.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing too is I'm sure that they both knew what was going to happen. I got to imagine that Sam had heard about it or my mom had. Because if my mom's like, she might have said it about Crash and not necessarily Brokeback. But like, if there's an expectation of what you're going to see in there and you can kind of go gear up for it, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like at least you know what you're getting into.
Yes.
Whereas like it's better than just being completely caught off guard with like basically softcore porn with your parents. That would be rough.
Oh, that's one of mine.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my parents.
So yeah, I guess we can get into our own experiences if you want to jump into that.
Sure. Yeah. I just got a couple on it. I know we've
we can go for a little longer. Yeah.
We got about 10. Oh, I got, yeah. Should we go? How many do you have?
Other than the answer my mom gave, not a whole lot. I guess my embarrassment doesn't really stem from like sex scenes coming on, like when I'm watching with like a relative or like friends or something.
Right.
It has more so to do with me recommending people watch a movie and praising it and then showing them the movie and then them just not taking to it or
I guess
receiving it in any way. And like, if I show someone a movie and I'm really wanting them to see it and halfway through they're on their phone, I just feel kind of shitty.
Yeah, that was me with Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
Not you, but my Scotty and his gal. I was like, we got to watch this film. And then after 10 minutes, I look over and they're both texting each other. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, I'm done. And they're like, why? We want to. I'm like, no, I'm not going to sit here. It's like, I was like, it's already 11:30 p.m. Like, we're going to be up till 1. I'm not committing myself to this. You guys want to watch it? Go fucking watch it yourselves.
I do have another. It's like an era of my life where I used to date this girl and she was super religious and her parents were super religious. And we would sometimes just rent movies and watch them just because, it was something to do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in those movies, there would be, because they would be PG-13 generally. But sometimes there would be like scenes of sexual nature or like sex scenes if we ever got an R-rated movie sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like that would just pop up. And I would just sit there and I would feel so uncomfortable because I know how these people feel about that sort of thing.
Right.
And like sometimes the dad would try to fast forward through it and then it was like a really weird vibe. It was super like constrained and conservative environment. And so I was just very, very uncomfortable a lot of those times.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, other than that, it's mostly just from like if I want someone to watch a movie that's my favorite and they don't like it and they pulled their phone halfway through it, then I don't feel good.
No, that is a shitty feeling.
Yeah. What about you?
So I'm just gonna rattle off just a couple. I mean, the only one that I really need to get into is the one that I was trying to think of this because we had been talking. I had a buddy. He sent me a snap, so I don't think he commented on anything, but he watched Black Swan. So he watched Black Swan with his mom.
Oh, didn't you watch Black Swan with your mom?
I did. So it was like when I didn't want to, I wasn't going to be like, oh, me too, So like
high five.
Yeah. I was like, he told me that and I was like, yep, been there. I remember I knew that scene was coming though. So like I got up and like went to the kitchen and watched it from the kitchen. Uh-huh. But like the mirrors on our wall over the dining. So my mom could see that I was watching it from the mirror. So I remember I looked over at the mirror to see if she was watching it and she looked at me and we made eye contact I like looked away and kind of, it was awkward. When me and my brother were probably 11 and 12, my dad had us watch Deliverance.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I got to see that. That was another kind of there was some references to it, so it wasn't like, oh, but like when it's actually happening, it was like, okay.
Yeah. Ooh, visceral.
Yeah. I had another time where I went to this like, what is it like when you do like the Bible study stuff or whatever? Like they used to have like the kids come over and like 13, 14 in high school, there'd be a group of kids and like you do like a little bit of like a. I can't remember. It was like a hangout or something like that.
Like a Sunday school?
No, it wasn't Sunday school. It was like a hangout. Like you'd come over, like it was a Friday night, not much going on. So like a group of us went over to like the pastor's house or something like that.
Okay.
Hung out, ate, and then like did a couple prayers or whatever. Like I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
I didn't really do it, but my buddies were into it, and they were like,
just like a Bible study.
Sure. Yeah. I don't even know if we studied though. We might have. That's what it would have been essentially. Mm-hmm. But anyways. I didn't know anyone there besides my two friends, and I drove there, and we were hanging out, and there was about 14, 15 kids, you know. So they threw on a movie at one point, and people started feathering out, you know. And so hour goes by, there's probably like 6 people left. Hour and a half goes by, there's 3 people left. One being my buddy, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna take off. And I was like, all right. I'm kind of into this film, you know. And then there's 3 people left. It's me and then, you know, the pastor and then this other chick that's there. And no one's talking. Like, it's just, we're watching it and all of a sudden I'm thinking about, like, what they're thinking about, you know? And like, I'm, like, red in the face and sweating. And sitting there watching it, you know, nothing going on. It's like a PG film. And at some point, the chick gets up. She starts, like, fiddling around in the kitchen. I was like, this is kind of odd. And she gets in there and she's like, all right, hon, I'm going to bed, and kisses a guy and, like, goes to bed. And I was like, so literally it's just me hanging out with these 2 people that are owners of the house watching this film. So I hadn't realized I was the last one there. They didn't know me and I didn't know them.
Yeah.
And like we're just both sitting there watching this thing and no one is like, hey, baby, time to go. Yeah. And me thinking that the chick is a fucking another high school gal. I wasn't like hitting on her or anything. I was just kind of like, don't know if I'm going to be the last one to leave here, you know? And like I was kind of waiting for her to walk out and then I'd be like, yeah, okay, you know? And apparently they're dating or something like that. So that was incredibly awkward, just like being in a situation where you don't know the people and then waiting on something, and not only to find out that I would have stayed there till the end of the film probably, and like it would have been over. That guy would have been like, well, guess it's about that time. Yeah. You know, like totally overstayed my welcome.
Hey, you were into the movie. What can you do?
Yeah.
Wait, do you remember what movie it was?
No, it was like a comedy with Will Ferrell. I don't remember what was out at that time. Like I'm trying to like, I don't think it was Step Brothers. It might have been Talladega Nights. So it was something like
that.
It's a Bible study movie that's comedic, so kind of raunchy but like safe.
Gotcha.
No, the worst one that I remember being completely uncomfortable. Have you ever seen Enemy at the Gates?
No.
All right, it's about might be a movie I recommend at some point. A Russian sniper. World War II film. Okay. All right. And it's about Russia trying to keep back Germany, and they get in this little sniper duel. Anyways, this movie came out 2002, 2003, somewhere in there. So, like, I was in middle school, and me and my buddy were really into World War II. Well, he was. I just was, like, into guns and action. So, like, he's like, hey, I want to go see this movie. It's about like snipers. And like when we did World War II stuff, like our group, like we would try, he tried to be a sniper. Like we just, you know, so anyways, he's like, it's rated R. So like my mom's going to have to go see it. It's like, oh, okay. Like cool. And like, you know, so it was my buddy and his mom's like not attractive or anything, you know, it's just like just plain Jane, like, hey, you know, we're going to go see this film. And, you know, Mrs. Drew, you can go see it. It's not her name, but like, you know, it's like she's like, all right, well, I have to sit with you guys and watch this thing.
Just take time off from being a substitute teacher.
Yeah. Well, so she because there's no this lady was fucking nuts.
Oh.
Yeah, not good nuts, like psychotic nuts. Like it was a mom that you didn't want to do anything bad, because if you did it, not only to like if you did it to her son, just in general, she would lecture you and ground you if you were hanging out there. Like it was like one of those things like, you don't have control over me. It's like fucking my ass I don't.
Yeah.
You know? So anyways, we're watching Enemy at the Gates, and movie's going on, relationships are getting developed. Well, they get into the scene where they're sleeping in this like kind of like abandoned warehouse, you know, like the whole army's there, right? And there's a lady there that's like an interpreter or something like that. So she's trying to help out the sniper. And anyways, it's just like it's bombs going off, right? And there's kind of gunfire going on, and people are trying to sleep and rustling around. And she looks over at Jude Law, and like he looks at her, and they start making out. It's like, all right, whatever. All of a sudden, like now, mind you, no score going on. There's nothing. It's just fucking the movie's just happening with like the pieces of the sound pieces going off, and Jude Law's hand starts creeping down her like into the shirt, and it's like, oh, like kind of uncomfortable. Mrs. Drew sitting right there. It's like, whatever. Next thing you know, hand comes out, starts going down to her pants. Like, I'm like, all right, what's going on here, right? So all of a sudden, she starts like doing the thing. She's moaning in his ear, but like you can just see the movements of the mouths going off, right? So it's like super fucking intimate, and they're trying to be like really sneaky about it with all this like just like the grenades going off and stuff like that, and people coughing, and all of a sudden she like rolls over, like turns her back to him, and all like he. Arms go under him, and I'm like, what the fuck, And like we're sitting here with his like my buddy's mom was just sitting there, like took us into the same. I'm like, I don't even know what we're watching now. Like this is so bad, So yeah, that was right up there being one of the worst ones, because my buddy too wasn't even like paying attention. He was just like, eyes on the screen.
Yeah.
So
that's That's pretty bad, I would say.
You'd have to see. Now, I'm going to say right now, though, I think, actually, if I was 12 or 13 and went and saw a girl with a dragon tattoo and had that situation, I think that'd be much worse.
Probably.
The problem with it was that you don't really think, because like intimacy right now is not that big of a deal, but like when you're 11 or 12, like intimacy is like a really foreign subject matter, because you don't really have those isolated moments with chicks. And it's like something that you're like, all right, how do I get to that point? And then to see this dude banging this girl, like in a really like people around too,
right, with no music going on,
just people moaning and gyrating, and you're just seeing hands move around and the pants are down, like you could kind of see like her hip. I mean, it was just odd, and it was a very like intimate moment.
Yeah.
That I got to share with my buddy
in a not so
mom.
intimate setting.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a sentence. An intimate moment I got to share with my buddy and his mom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's as good a place as any to wrap up. But before we do, we got one more bit of business.
We do.
You get to make a recommendation, my guy.
I do.
It's your turn.
So I was looking at this, and there's just so many good. There's so many good. Like we're still gonna. It could be. Well, one of these is bad. They're both probably not gonna be great. Historical or adventure?
Ooh. Well, I feel like we just had a good dose of adventure, so let's go historical.
All right, we're gonna watch The Ghost in the Darkness.
The Ghost in the Darkness?
Yes. The Ghost in the starring Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas.
Okay. Directed by Ryan Calloway. Came out 2019?
No. You got to find Val Kilmer.
This is a different movie.
Yeah.
The Ghost in...
I think it came out in 1998.
The Darkness. I'm not seeing anything come up on Letterboxd.
Just type in Ghost in the Darkness. You got to go to IMDb. Maybe it might not have been rated.
Maybe it's... Okay.
Don't quite... It's Ghost in the Darkness.
Ghost in the Darkness.
Yeah.
All right. I'll look up Ghost in the Darkness, Val Kilmer. The Ghost in the Darkness. Okay.
Is it The Ghost in the Darkness?
Yeah. That's weird that it wasn't popping up on Letterboxd. Normally they have like every movie.
I know if you don't put the article in there on IMDb,
okay,
it won't.
So directed by Stephen Hopkins, starring Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer.
1996.
Okay. Historical adventure film. All right.
This is not. No. The other one's a little bit more of an adventure. This is not an adventure. You are in Africa though, so that's where the adventure aspect would come into, but you're literally on one set in Africa.
Gotcha.
So,
all right, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to this
too, so if you can't find it, let me know.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of a Mario Brothers deal where you had to borrow the DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. But cool. All right. Awesome. If you don't want to be spoiled for The Ghost and The Darkness. Oh, I think that's why. It's The Ghost and The Darkness, not The Ghost in the Darkness. That's why I couldn't find it.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So be sure to check that movie out before episode 45. Thank you guys for listening to us. You can find us on our website, www.neoncrewpodcast.com. We are on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow our social medias, our Facebook, and our YouTube community page. I oftentimes make posts there just to update people and also pose questions or to have you guys give us questions. And also be sure to cop some merch. We've got some t-shirt designs as well as a crew neck that I think you might enjoy if you check that out on our Etsy page. I will put a link in the description. And yeah, thank you guys again. Mac, where do we leave this with?
WWTHD.
Bye, everyone.
Ah!